Ta-da! Oh, wrong room. Ta-da! Welcome in, everybody. I am Vicarious the Champion. Today we will be talking about RWBY Tuesdays. Furry paw jobs.
Furry paw jobs.
Oh, that's a name. Welcome everybody, I'm Vicarious the Champion. Today we're gonna be talking about RWBY Volume 6 with Dakota Red Heart and Phoenix of Dust. Time to discuss, compare, and possibly argue again. Yeah, most likely we're gonna argue again. Probably, hopefully not as bad as we did like last week when it came to the actors and whatnot, but hopefully it will be a little bit more lighthearted. So let me jump on the call real quick if my PC will let me. And Alonze. Thank you for Paul Chows for the follow. Welcome in.
You fucking nerd.
You fucking nerd.
We're all nerds.
Hello.
Hello. Alright. Okay, again, sorry, Phoenix, for ruining that moment. But trust me, I felt the same way. I did, what was it, 2019? So 6 years ago. And then now it's just, my expectations has been just so low. And on top of that,
Yeah.
he did say my name first. So it's like, yeah. you know those scenes, those comedy scenes where like don't be a Greg, and then Greg in the background is like, what the fuck did I do? Like that. I feel like that was that. So if you want so levity or closure, that's how I felt.
Fair enough.
Mm.
Okay, now that out of the side, I still have the Volume 6 wiki overview of the entirety of the volume. I did misjudge that it was 13 episodes this time and not 12, because normally they're like 10, 12-ish episodes, because I think the first volume was 10, second was 12, third volume was 12 again, I think. And then I think they're going to get progressively longer with each volume going forward, aren't they, Phoenix?
I believe so, because I think they had more ideas that they wanted to try to fit into each volume. Let's see. Actually, looking at the list, let's see. Volume 6 is 13, Volume 7 is 13, Volume 8 is 13. Volume 9 is only 10, so they go back to only 10 episodes. My guess is because they got enough backlash from people saying stop squeezing so much stuff in the volume. Thought, okay, fine, we'll have a more coherent story, and thus volume 9 ended up getting 10 episodes. If we ever get volume 10, I pray they do the same. Like, if they're gonna have 10 or 11 episodes, or hell, make volume 10 pull an Owl House and have volume 10 be 3-hour-long episodes. If you want to go that route. I'm fine with that, because at least with the Owl House, they made the best they could with the hour-long time they had. So
right. See, and that's why I theorized that whenever and if ever they do finally finish off RWBY with Volume 10, if that ever happens, I just hope it's just one big like movie special kind of, you know?
Yeah, RWBY Volume 10 finale kind of deal.
It would be cool if we got like a theatrical movie as a finale.
I would love that. I feel like
that would be. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that would be awesome in Poggers if they did. The only issue is that it most likely wouldn't, and just be like one of those like, you know, rare screenings that are only available in like so many locations.
Yeah.
Because because like
I mean, if it was
Go
still
ahead.
made by Warner Brothers, they could have done like a direct-to-video movie like they do with DC and their DC crossover, but we all know that didn't work out.
Yeah.
No. Well, mind you, this is something I've noticed. Not many people, at least our generation, really think about going to the theater much, because they find more comfortability watching movies at home. Because think about this for a second. What's something that you get the theater, you can't get it home nowadays.
Popcorn. I mean, like movie theater popcorn.
You can buy popcorn seasoning or movie theater butter on Amazon.
I mean, true, but like,
Yeah,
it's just
but
not the
it's not
same.
the same.
Yeah, exactly, it's just not the same.
The only thing I could say is the experience, which
Yes.
if you've been to the theater like as much as you did as a kid, you're gonna be desensitized to the experience unless you have the chance to see like modern day advancements. Like, oh yeah, now all the tons of seats have reclined chairs or headphones or whatever. Which there was a theater in the town I used to live in that just got reclined chairs with headphones. I am so angry that the theater I'm close to doesn't have them.
Damn.
Anyway,
What are the headphones for? Just so like you listen with headphones?
to basically control the volume if you're either hard of hearing or have sensitive hearing. Because most
it
theaters
Mandatory?
no, like you can basically the way it works is that the movie will still have the speakers going, but you'll have like headphones with soundproofing so that you can control the volume. Like if you're hard of hearing, like okay, let me turn it up so I can hear the people a little better. Or if you're someone who's sensitive hearing, you can put them on and turn the volume down so you can still enjoy it. That's fine. Or if there's some chat, or there's someone chatty behind you next to you that you don't want to deal with. Because here's the thing, back in the day, like in the early 2000s, late 1990s, the best thing you got from a movie theater was the experience of watching a movie on the big screen, getting to enjoy something spectacular. Nowadays, you can just buy a flat screen from Best Buy and watch it in the comfort of your own home. You can recline, you can make your own popcorn or make your own kind of snacks. You can, do whatever you want with it. Movie theaters, you're stuck with your own seats, which usually if you're in one of those cheap seats where the armrests have to be shared, which is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You're stuck with that. At home,
Honestly, what you could do is basically go to the movie theater, buy popcorn, leave, and then watch a movie at home.
you know what's really funny actually?
It'd be cheaper.
King
A friend
move.
of mine actually did try that years ago in another movie theater, and he managed to pull it off once. The second time, however, the usher caught him and said, okay, either you're going to go to the theater and watch the movie you paid for, or I'm taking the popcorn from your hands.
Couldn't you just get a refund at that point then?
You
That's
can do
stealing.
that.
Yeah, that's legally stealing.
It's basically a restaurant. You go in there, I would like to order one popcorn, then leave. What's the problem?
Mind you, this was in a town that wasn't, I guess...
Was it like a local theater?
It was like one of those local theaters that had modernized-ish, but still had the very retro,
Like, I'm sure if you went to like a movie chain like AMC or Regal, you can just be like, "Yo, one popcorn, please."
Yeah,
all right, peace out.
If you went to a chain like that, they would 100% refund you. But the one we went to was like a local place that had a very like classic look to it and ran by their own rules pretty much. Like they even added a sign a couple weeks later saying you enter here, purchase ticket, buy popcorn. You must eat the popcorn here and watch the fucking movie. You attempt to leave, we're taking your shit with us, and you can't do anything about it.
Because like if you think about like movie theaters make nothing from the tickets basically. The reason their concessions are so expensive is that's how they make a profit. So who gives a fuck that you just got all the money?
Mind you, again, this was a local place that played by its own rules, and because it was a local place and the police really didn't care, they couldn't do anything about it. So
yeah, I know, but I just think of like that Futurama meme, "Shut up and take my money." I'm buying your food. Let me leave.
I'm still waiting for technology where we can have everything done through our eyeballs.
I'd hate that.
Apple's going to eventually come up with that. They're going to get that technically made, somehow bribe the FDA to let that happen, buy it, and then sell it for like $2,000.
You imagine the fucking popcorn embargo with all these tariffs now.
Oh god.
And that's my political joke of the day.
There you go.
Anyways, so we just watched RWBY Volume 6 and we were very and we just got finished watching it, so we're like mix of emotions, mix of feelings, Gurren Lagann, and I feel like there's another anime reference in there somewhere. Like there was Gurren Lagann, there had to be, I think there was something else in there. I think.
Start online.
Yes, that's actually a fair point. I think that's actually a fair comparison there with a lot of the Atlesian technology and whatnot, and the
Mhm.
mix with the medieval fantasy on top of that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. The best way I can say is that it's 40% good to okay, but 60% mediocre to just plain bad.
And it's so many. All right, so first, allow me to read like the synopsis and the overview, and possibly a little, and read over the development while we discuss things first, and then we can unleash the hounds of hell. Alright, so Volume 6 is the sixth season of RWBY. It premiered on October 27th, 2018 on the Rooster Teeth website. And it did, oh yeah, I forgot it because they did the first membership stuff. In
Yeah.
addition to sorry. In addition to a theatrical screenings of the premiere were held through Fathom events across the United States on October 25th. See, I love the Fathom events. I really hope they do that
Mhm.
again when they come back with RWBY.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, that was when the Fathom event I went to was for not for the premiere of Volume 4, but it was pretty much for Ruby fans to have like their fill with that year gap between Volume 3 and 4, where
Mhm.
me and my buddies in high school quite literally just traveled 2 hours away just to go to a dine-in theater. It was really a fun experience, especially with like so many people cosplaying there. The
Wow.
yeah. The volume was preceded by Volume 5 and the third season of Ruby Chibi. Wait,
Hmm.
Ruby Chibi had 3 seasons? I thought it only had two. And
Most people kind of forgot about RWBY Chibi by Volume 3 because the jokes kind of started to fall flat, became kind of predictable, and they tried to add in more characters, but nobody liked them most of the time because, well, let's just say the funniest part of RWBY Chibi became just satirizing itself and interaction between Torchic and Neo, mainly with Neo basically pulling a Wile E. Coyote and speaking through written signs.
yeah, I remember that. I loved that so much. And that was the part where I feel like they were actually she had feelings for him or some kind because like there's that point where he falls in the hole and she holds the sign. He's a dum dum, but she flips the sign over, but he's my dum dum, and then falls
Yeah.
right in after him too.
They're adorable.
Yeah,
Stupid, but adorable.
indeed. The volume premiered was preceded by the Volume 6 Adam character short, and we'll be talking about that in just a jiff because that leads into the events that follow up with Adam's reintroduction and end to his contribution to RWBY overall. It
Hmm.
has 13 episodes total with 1 week break for Christmas. Oh, see, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Unlike the previous volumes, Volume 6 was not released on YouTube alongside Rooster Teeth website's release. Instead, it was released alongside Volume 7 on Rooster Teeth's YouTube channel for an. Oh! So they never released it. They kept it on their main website for a whole year, then dumped it onto
Thing.
their YouTube channel when they went into Volume 7.
Yeah, that's the main reason why people
Oh.
kind of forgot about Ruby Chibi because they took so long to release the third season. By the time people just stopped caring.
Yeah, and then Volume 6
Mhm.
was released entirely for premium/free users on Crunchyroll June 25th, 2019. Volume 6 was released on DVD and Blu-ray on July 2nd, 2019. Overview. After successfully getting the first relic in Mistral, the next step to take is to take it to General Ironwood in Atlas. But things don't go smoothly as our protagonists are separated and forced to walk through the dangerous Mistral wilderness and witness the history of the world. Salem and Ospen, after they seemingly lose hope, Crow Bronwyn begins descending more into his alcoholism while the team meets an old woman named Maria Calavera, who manages to save them from great dangers in the wilderness. Maria Sue. Meanwhile, Cinderfall is revealed to have survived the Battle of Haven. Again, bullshit there. I don't know how, but let's keep reading. And begins wandering around the lower levels of Mistral while looking for Ruby's group. After Adam Torres loses the control he had over the White Fang following the Battle of Haven, he begins to pursue Blake Belladonna in order to kill her. Meanwhile, the other half of Ruby's group learn that the Atlas military forces in Argus, led by Caroline Cordovin, are unwilling to help them reach Atlas. And so then it's up to them to pretty much work their way around. And I have issues with that, too, because they had a good idea, then they went a little over the top, and I guess it goes into jump the shark territories, but let's start there, where we get reintroduced to the main characters of the last 2 volumes, Team Ruby, Team Ranger, and then we got Crow, Oscar, slash Ozpin, and I think that was it. Then we get a new main character as we progress. Blake says farewell to Sun. Then Neptune, for some reason, never talks to Weiss at all. For some reason, he tries flirting up probably the first canonically lesbian character of the show, which is funny. But to say,
Oh, the irony.
oh, the irony indeed. And then
I mean, it's kind of a character. He didn't seem to really care about anyone, like, personally. Just like, ooh, hot lady, and talk to everyone.
Neptune is a hydrophobic womanizer. That's pretty much his whole character.
mhm.
He's just interested in. He kind of seems like he's just interested in like one night flings and not actually like in a relationship. I don't think he gives a fuck about Weiss.
Yeah, like people like to say, "Oh, Neptune is very one-dimensional." Like, yeah, he's kind of designed to be that way to make Sun look better.
Mhm.
Which, yeah,
And it is, and so their departure with Neptune and Sun also is to set up one of the RWBY books that I have in my collection. So the book 1 is about Team Coffee in Vacuo, and then book 2 is about Team Sun and Team Coffee in Vacuo as well, going on their own little adventure, and so on. So it was an interesting little Easter egg to set up the plot and events of what is going to happen for their own personal adventures in extended media.
You know
Oh,
what's
nice.
funny? You're actually wrong, Jambi. We saw Neptune again.
No, you're right. You got me there. It's been like literally,
You lied to me.
this was 2018 the first episode came out, so it's been 7 years since I've watched, close to 7 years since I watched
Oh,
Volume
didn't
6.
you also say you dropped off after a while? Like stopped watching?
Yeah, I dropped off after Volume 6 because I did
So
not.
some of the characters you say that never show up again, maybe they do show up again, you just don't know.
They don't, because my ex around the time continued watching it, even though she had the same
Alright.
opinions that I did in regards to the narrative direction of RWBY at this time, and she kept on updating me like every single ounce of the way, to the point where even if I did want to
Alright.
get back into RWBY, I just got like so many clip notes versions of like what the fuck is happening. I was like, I might as well not just watch it because you're spoiling everything to me. Thankfully now, I by this time I've forgotten most of what happens, except some of the more severe, significant moments in volumes 7, 8, and 9 to probably enjoy it more. Going into it at least, but yes. What else? So yes. So we get Sun and Neptune leave, and we definitely do not see them again. Later in other volumes, we get introduced to other characters that I thought we will never see again as well, now that I say that. Because that just reminded me of like a whole can of worms there. Anyways, what else? We get a little more. So Dakota, you remember the statue lady I told you to keep an eye on back in Volume 5?
Statue lady?
The statue lady, yes.
I don't remember a statue lady.
God damn
The
it.
lady that was basically a part of the platform that led down to the vault.
Yes.
You mentioned something about an elevator, but I didn't really. It was very complexly designed. I didn't really perceive what it looked like.
It was a lady.
Oh, okay.
And the
I don't remember. I just don't remember what it looks like. I remember it was like a big tube.
The statue on the platform that was the elevator that led to the vault.
Yeah.
Was.
Yeah, I remember the elevator. I don't remember a statue on it. I thought it was just like some random shapes.
new.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in
Hmm.
it was designed after Jin herself, the genie
That's
in the lamp.
interesting.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so yeah, it gives you a good like foreshadow like what's
Mhm.
inside the relic. Um, and so we get little so pretty much shenanigans happen, Grim attack. They're apparently attracted to the relic now as well for some reason, and they call Team RWBY decides to lead the Grim away from the passengers of the rest of the train and crash the half that they're on and pretty much are stuck carrying the doohickey until they decide to actually ask questions of why
Okay.
Ozpin didn't tell him that it also attracts Grim on top of that. Like, oh, it gives you knowledge, but it also the attracting Grim part would have been nice to know ahead of time. That way they could probably have, moved up or like hustled or bustled a little bit better, you know?
Maybe not use public transportation and put civilians at risk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a thing that probably should have been mentioned sooner. I mean,
I mean, I guess he just figures like, oh, it's a random Grim attack. What are the odds? And because they fight Grim all the time. He's like, maybe they won't notice because it's just every day.
I
But like, it would have helped to know.
and he had nothing to lose if he revealed that information too either. So that's the part that kind of like got, got him with his hand in the cookie jar of him lying again. So
It's like
Yeah,
it's like giving someone blue cheese and saying, "Oh yeah, it's really good and enchant your palate," and then forgetting to tell them, "Oh, it also attracts flies."
yeah,
exactly.
Like, okay, cool. That would have been nice to know, so I can make sure to eat in a place that isn't outside. But anyway,
yeah. He just keeps walking into the lie reveal tropes, where it's just like he's like, oh, I promise I'll tell the truth from now on, and he's just like, oh, I still keep it secret. It's technically not lying if I don't tell you, if I never bring it up.
for him, he says he'll tell the truth. That doesn't involve basically exposing him as a reason for everything being caused.
He's like, I'll be honest with you, but I'm not going to tell you everything unless it's like brought up to me. But like, if you ask me about it, I'll tell you, but you won't know what to ask for.
Again, it's just like he had nothing to lose if he just said, "Oh yeah, this is what it does. These artifacts also
Yeah.
attract Grim. Be careful with that."
And also, there are still wishes left, or no wishes left. There are still questions left, but you have to make sure to choose wisely because while Jin will tell you everything, she won't be very specific.
Yeah. And it's like the Grim thing, he wouldn't really have anything to lose, and people probably wouldn't really question him about Salem or whatever, or like what else he's hiding. If he just said, "Oh, by the way, it attracts Grim," because they pretty much had enough information other than that and like what the bauble does. But
bubble.
like, he's like, I mean, I would have heard like, "Yo, we protect." Okay, so the bad guy wants this, and we're gonna protect it. What does it do? It's like, oh, it does this. Okay, good to know. Now we have that's enough information. They didn't really need to know Sable's backstory, and he could have kept Sable's backstory a secret if he just told them those two little details about the Grim and what it does.
Exactly, and go ahead, Felix.
I was gonna say, I think at some point they would have asked a little more about Salem's backstory if Ozpin knew enough about her, but he could have just said that, like, he knew her back when she was human, and knew that there was something about what the gods told her that angered her and made her want revenge on humanity and the gods and made her want to collect the relics. I think that would have been enough to at least give, Team RWBY, enough information to know why Salem's doing this, while also basically protecting the fact that he's the reason why she's the way she is.
Partially the reason I should clarify there for you.
Like, well, at least half the reason. Half the fact that she wanted him around, but also the fact that she hated the gods.
Yes.
I guess it would be kind of scary to tell someone like, "Oh, the gods are real and they can just wipe out humanity with a snap of a finger, and you're actually the second race of humans." Like that's got to be kind of existential. So like maybe I could understand like keeping that little detail down. Like, yo, like you're not the first humans, and the gods are real. They're gonna could just like Thanos snap you out of here. No biggie. Don't be stressed out about that. We'll just focus on the thing. But like you could have just said Sable's evil. We gotta stop Sable. And I'm like, okay,
you mean Salem?
Ozpin. Yeah, Salem. Like, okay, Ozpin, we stopped Salem. She's evil. Good enough.
Also, the
So,
thing
like-
that Butterfly said, I agree that the whole 3 questions every century thing is annoying, and otherwise it just attracts Grim. It could have been like every 100 centuries, 100 centuries, yeah, 100 centuries, that's a long time. Every 100 years, once all 3 questions are used up, the glow disappears and thus becomes basically a paperweight. But once the questions are back, it then starts glowing as a signifier that 3 more questions might be asked.
Honestly,
But-
that would be good clarification too. That would actually been a neat detail to
Mhm.
have implemented. That way, it actually would have been a got you for Austin if that were the case. Then it goes like, hey, wait, I thought this thing's still glowing. I thought that you said the wishes were used up.
Calling the lie. Like Zoe calling the lie since volume 1.
But yeah,
Like,
since
can you ask the lamp everything? Like, I wish to know everything.
So, rules regarding the questions, I don't believe are ever established because while Jin is based off the genie, the genie had rules, but Jin's questions, aside from the recharge of 100 years, don't really have any limitations.
yeah,
The only
she's supposed to
limitation
develop
is she
her
can't predict the future. That's the only
Yeah.
limitation.
yeah.
I guess,
like-
yeah, but most people are going to be asking, like, okay, how do I do this? Can I do that if I do this? Most people know that it's going to be questions, not predictions, but it makes you think, aside from the predictions of the future, what would happen if someone asks a question that was not conundrum, what's the word we're looking for here? It's a thing that breaks AI. A contradiction, I think, or whatever it's called.
Oh, I know what you're
Where-
talking about. It's fuck, what is that called? It's the Kobayashi code or something like that.
Something like that. Like, you ask a question that basically cancels itself out. Would Jin just refuse to answer it but still waste the question?
Mhm.
Or would she still try to answer it only to basically become confused and still waste the question?
Mhm.
Because it's clear that she's human enough to still have common sense and logic to, ignore that kind of thing. But does her design as a knowledge giver basically force her to give some kind of answer, even if it's contradictory?
Could you possibly ask her how to build a machine or a device that can predict the future?
I'd imagine she would try to give an answer only to basically say, you'll build a machine, but the thing is that while they think it predicts the future, all it does is basically the giant magic 8-ball.
Yes. I guess it could also be like, can you tell me how to build a device that can predict the future? And her like, yes, I can. Haha, very funny. Can you give me instructions on how to build it? Okay, that's your second question. Technically, yes, I can tell you.
If that would follow the thing about genies basically being not malicious but tricksters, and basically they'll still technically grant your wish, but in the more maliciously compliant way that technically is correct. That also basically means you have to be careful with how you phrase your questions, so that you still have to answer them correctly without, while still fulfilling the question or fulfilling the wish of the person that they want to know about.
I mean, you could always pull a Timmy Turner and wish for the greatest lawyer.
I mean, that could work theoretically.
Okay, so we're kind of sidetracking a little bit. We're going to like the what ifs, like how to like trick a genie to get a little genie to get us the wishes that we want, basically. But anyway.
More or less.
Anyways,
Yeah.
we're going down that rabbit hole. We will not come out of there. I promise you that we will not be coming out of there. If we go down that hole.
We're hopping right out of the hole before we dig ourselves deeper.
Yes.
GDs are funny to debate about.
They
Okay.
are. Anyway.
So anyway, since we're going into the talk about Jin, she is the being inside the relic of knowledge. She is a entity created by the god of light itself, who basically was one of four relics that were bestowed onto humanity. You know, you got creation, destruction, choice, and knowledge or wisdom. I think it was the actual correct wording for her. And so Ruby wants to know what the fuck is Osmond hiding. And little before you know, quite literally, we get shown a fairy tale. And this is where we.
Yeah.
And it was even though it was one big exposition dump, I do like how it was portrayed in alongside of it being told as a fairy tale, while also showing, while telling at the same time, if that makes sense.
It was
No,
a fairy tale along with basically backstory exposition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'd be kind of, it's kind of funny. They like show like each character watching it, which is kind of neat. But it would be kind of funny if they just cut to like the old lady, is her Maria? And you're like, what the fuck is all this? Like, she's like hopping into a story like midway through. She's like, what are you talking? What is this jargon you're talking about? What the fuck?
I'm getting too old for this shit.
I won't be surprised if there's a lead scene where you see her midway going like, am I God senile? What's this about gods and big men with no mouths?
Dear God, I'm losing it. It's happening.
Literal dear God.
Is that the light?
She
I'm in a white void, and there's like
she gets the part with the god of creation and destruction. Why does he don't have any dicks?
Oh,
Anyway.
So, anyways, yes. Basically, we get told that Salem was a princess held in a castle. Osmond was a warrior that fought for freedom and justice, and instead of like outright, you know, trying to rescue the princess for the sake of, you know, marrying the princess and everything, she just wanted her to have her freedom. And so that resulted in them falling for one another, and I hate this. Like, for like a lot of like certain characters, because like imagine being like the greatest warrior of your generation, and then the sniffles is what gets you. Not giant monsters, not enemies, not a sword to the throat or anything. No, the sniffles.
Not even a curse placed on you by an evil wizard to basically make it so you have to make the right choices, otherwise you're doomed to turn to ash.
Exactly.
Just literally the cold.
I mean, he's only human. It's kind of like humbling, like with the odds. Like, even he can do so many cool and great feats, but in the end of the day, he's still human, and
He's only human after all. Don't
Yeah.
put the blame on him.
Yeah, that's true. That is fair, and that does kind of coincide with Osmond's ideology, where like how he has such a fascination with humans and their flaws and whatnot, and so because of Ozma dying, Salem falls into despair and wishes to have him revived, and goes to the God of Light first to plead her case, and he even sympathizes and pities her for the loss of her love. But the problem is that would go against the laws of nature to do that at all. Which, you know, that's fair. I guess that's fair. You gotta keep things even. You gotta keep things natural, in the natural order, as you would. But the God of Darkness,
follow the circle of life.
yeah, but the God of Darkness just down the road is like doing this for free. So I'm going to him now. Then she goes to the God of Darkness. He says, "Okay, bet." Does it anyway? So I know we're gonna get into like a discussion about whether it should or should not happen in a bit. But what if she did go to him first? What would then happen? Would there have been like a war between the brothers again over who gets to decide what?
Will the brother even notice? Like,
well, he noticed after she went to the Brother of Darkness anyway.
well, that's because he was he's probably expecting it, because like he's like, okay, now I have this woman on my radar. I'll keep an eye out on her. He could have like followed her, but if he had no idea anything about this woman, maybe he'd sense like the dark guy did something, but like the dark guy could probably just hit it. Like, I didn't do anything. What are you talking about?
The way I see it is, if Salem had gone to the Brother Destruction first, and basically noticed that, oh yeah, she went to me first. She knew that you wouldn't do it. We're gonna fight and basically wipe out humanity during our fight.
Mhm.
But because the brother knew that she had gone to the brother of Decretion first,
Mhm.
he knew that, oh, right, I should follow the rules. Let me correct my mistake, only to have Salem basically hate both of them instead of just one of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that in turn ends up being both the undoing of humanity and in the long run, because she ends up being made into an immortal who cannot die, and because of that, she can never see her loved one ever again. She can never see Ozma in the afterlife, which is Jesus Christ. That's a pretty fucking damning punishment.
Mhm.
And
So they really didn't think it through, because I could see their line like, oh, now you can like live forever and learn like the beauty of like mortality and life by like living with normal humans. But it's just like they didn't think it through. They bit them in the ass. It was really
Little did they
stupid.
know that she was going to embrace her immortality and use it basically as a weapon against
Yeah.
them, which, let's be honest, this goes for any source of media. Unless your immortality is basically forced upon you
Mm.
by, as a punishment for, oh, you wish to, finally meet death, here's immortality to make it so you can pay for your crimes.
mm-hmm.
But there's a reason why things like the Horcruxes in Harry Potter were seen as a bad thing, because immortality comes out with a price.
Yep.
Mhm.
And with Salem, it basically forced her to attempt to commit suicide multiple times and then plunge herself into the pit of the Grim, turning her into pretty much a she-demon.
Mhm.
So yes, we're kind of jumping a little bit ahead there, but yeah. So Salem ended up getting tossed into the Fountain of Youth or Fountain of Immortality, and is now made immortal, so she can never be with Ozma in the afterlife, so she can never die. She begrudgingly falls into despair again, and tries to unalive herself in Minecraft, and also ends up just saying, huh, well, since these guys had such a big problem with wanting to bring someone back from the dead, they must not be as invaluable as they thought they were, and so decides to pretty much try to overthrow the gods with quite literally the three most kingdom, or three, was it three kingdoms at the time? Because there was three. There was the barbarian guys. There was
3
the
or
king.
4.
There was the
I was gonna say, I think there's still 4, but they weren't the same like kind of kingdoms as they are in current day Remnant.
right. So there was the four kingdoms that she gathered and pretty much wanted to overthrow the gods for the sake of wanting to get immortality, which should be easy to get because all you have to do is just take a dip. But anyways,
You know what's kind of funny is like they killed all humans and then destroyed the moon, and there's like a bunch of meteorites. Do you think they did that so that way archaeologists will be like, "Oh, the moon killed everyone, this ancient race of people,
that is an
and not
interesting.
gods"?
That
They
is
keep them secret.
that is
That's an interesting theory.
yeah.
Mhm.
However, mind you, keep in mind that there would have been some sort of skeletons left behind if it was the moon pieces that killed them, because the way they were actually killed was basically a
They are Thanos snapped.
continent-wide nuke.
Yeah,
Like again, continent-wide nuke, basically vaporizing
yeah.
all of them.
I understand that, but like the buildings were still intact. Like it didn't affect buildings and like objects.
But by the
I imagine it only affected organic life like plants and such. But I
So
don't
like
know.
people would have like dug up like structures of wood, metal spoons, armor. You know,
I think it's
Yeah,
kind
so
of
like,
like how
isn't it? I guess maybe the moon destroyed everything. Maybe they broke the moon so it would destroy all evidence of like objects, but like people would still dig up like a spoon and like that's weird. This spoon predates humanity. What the fuck?
I think it's kind of similar to how our history in IRL is with like, because we're still like finding like ancient civilizations here and there. So I feel like it'll be something similar to that maybe. However, though, that goes back to what I said previously in like our last stream or the one before that, where Salem quite possibly is left in isolation by herself for possibly millions of years, if we go by like evolution standpoint.
Mhm.
So that's a lot. That's a long time of loneliness. Like Jesus Christ. And she still hasn't learned anything either. So that's a grudge right there. That is a
Mhm.
grudge. If you want,
Yeah, that's a mad grudge.
But at this point, she's corrupted by Grim juice, so like she's just far gone.
She's basically stuck at the anger part of the
Mhm.
stage of the grief, and she's not going to get to acceptance at any point.
She has like the power of life where she lives forever, but like the power of Grim where she has to destroy everything.
right? Well,
Pretty
and
much.
and then we get into the part where I had the issue with the god of light and darkness. They brought Ozma back anyways, at their
Honestly,
own convenience.
I think that was just the God of Light, because I don't think the God of Darkness was there in the first place. I don't even know if the God of Darkness even knew about it, but still, I agree with that. The fact that Ozma was revived, even though they were against it, but they thought, okay, you know what? We'll give humanity a chance to prove that they can be trusted with our power and our gifts by using the man who we more or less took unfairly, but still,
I mean,
they
he was
still didn't see the point that, oh yeah, their mistake caused everything, meaning they're not taking responsibility for what they did.
No accountability. And
No.
yeah, Blue Lady Steven says, I still wonder how people came about again. It's not clarified the God of Dark killed all humans on the planet, or just humans on that continent. How did people become a thing? So,
evolution, baby.
evolution, most likely, from natural means. But the God of Darkness even said that, or Salem said, hey, you killed all these humans, I'm just gonna do it all again. And God of Darkness is like, ha, gotcha, bitch, because I killed all the humans. Good luck with that. And so it left her as the only human in Remnant. And that's also why it's called the world of Remnant, because it's a remnant of what it once was.
Everyone in the theater, in their chairs when they saw that point. Ah, he said it. He said it. That's the way of the
I was
world.
thinking that.
On top of that,
Uh,
they also took away the ability for humans to utilize a magic to an extent, because here's the fun part, Dakota. All the superpowers that you see, everyone, or I should say somewhat
Most people
superpowers,
using.
are utilize is magic. It is a semblance of what it once was. So like
Maybe the
oh, go ahead.
But like the Grim keep coming back, like you can't really stop them. Maybe humans are similar, where they just will constantly keep being created. And also, like the God of Dark killed all the humans. Maybe the God of Light was like, "Hey, I didn't say you could do that. What the fuck?" So he's just like, "All right, evolution again."
Possibly. We never
Because,
get that
like, they had
explanation.
like an agreement where it's like, okay, I made humans, you made Grim, we're both happy, and like, we're mad at this one lady. Why did you kill all the humans? That's kind of a dick move. All right, reset. That's compromise. Reset, new humans.
The way I see it, it's just they're so blinded by the fact they have control of these people that they don't see their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when they do make mistakes, they acknowledge them. They just basically pull a bandage fix and just fix the problem with more problems. It's the reason why the relics, they thought, oh yeah, let's create these super powerful items that can be used to resummon us, but also give power to these humans that we're not sure we can trust with our gifts. Like,
Yes.
my dude, the issue isn't to give humans more power with keys that will summon you back, which is kind of counterintuitive. It's the issue is to basically monitor the humans from a distance and see if they can work together. If they can't, then just abandon the fox. Like, there was a point where I started to realize you put any kind of godly character and think, oh yeah, they're super powerful, but they're not a villain. You're not writing them right.
Why did they even give a fuck? Wasn't it explained that like they gave humans free will, so like life and chaos and destruction? Like the humans can choose if they want to destroy things or like save life. So like, sure, did they say like, oh, look at our cute little creations going at war? Oh, those ones are helping people. That's nice too. Like, why would they care if like, oh, the humans are bad? You gave them free will because you thought that was neat. That was your compromise.
To them, it's not about if it's, if it's more destruction or more creation, if it's them balancing both.
Hmm.
If they can, create as much as they destroy, then that's fine, because it's keeping the circle of life going and keeping the balance going. But the moment there's more destruction and less creation, they see a bad thing because the god of destruction sees they're destroying a bunch of stuff,
But
but
that's
not great enough for them to destroy. Meaning the destruction has to end at some point, and the circle's gonna break. The cycle's gonna break.
But that's
It
the
seems
thing.
to-
None of the humans were destroying anything. They just decided to like, we hate the gods actually, and we're just gonna like punch them. Obviously, they can't do nothing. That's like ants fighting a gorilla. They're not gonna do shit. So like, the gods could have just been like, oh, you know
No.
what? Bye. We're just gonna leave. You don't like us anymore? Fend for yourself. Bye. But instead, they killed them all.
Million
It's
ants
more like-
versus one
I
gorilla.
think the dark god was just like, now's my chance to fuck with my brother. You're all dead. Haha.
That would make
And then-
sense. The issue is that that was not the case, and the brothers were like in sync in that
Yeah.
backstory, and like, at least towards the end of that conflict.
Mostly,
Yeah.
again, the brother of darkness did start to have a bit of resentment for his brother when he tried to stop what he was doing for Salem. But once he realized that, oh yeah, what I'm doing is bad because my brother's actually right, and Salem tried to go to him first, he immediately corrected the mistake, showing that while he, wants to go against his brother's wishes at times, he knows that they have to be on the same wavelength for things to work.
Yeah. But still, like, the humans didn't really do anything up to like, they weren't destroying anything. There was still a balance. They were working together. The free will. They just decided we don't believe in God anymore.
Well, mind you, the brother of destruction was still creating the Grimm for the humans to destroy, and the Grimm were destroying their crops, so they still had to,
Yeah.
build up their crops, build up their buildings again.
Stop
But
yelling.
still,
But yeah,
Yeah.
like the only thing they was doing was just like offended the gods, and that's it. They weren't destroying anything. Heck, I could understand the gods just destroying her army right there, but I guess she would have just made another army.
Yeah,
but, like,
that's
still.
that's why she quite literally said that I'm just gonna do it again, and then God of Darkness was
Yeah.
like, I know you would, so that's why I killed everyone else except for
Uh-huh.
and I can't kill you. Well, I killed everyone else, so now you're all
Do you
alone.
think the gods can't kill her?
I think what they can do is they can take away her immortality just as easy as they gave it to her, and then they can kill her.
But then
Because-
that's being basically the ability to kill her, so they shouldn't have that ability.
So here's the issue: is that when we get to the Silver Eyes part for Ruby in this discussion, there's a lot of fan theories of why Salem wanted silver-eyed warriors to be hunted into extinction, and why Maria
Kung Fu Panda
Calavera.
2 logic.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. Basically.
What was that?
Kung Fu Panda 2 logic.
Ah, gotcha.
Exactly. It is quite literally that.
Now I
Yeah,
want to
I
see
see that.
Salem, like with Ruby being annoying. She's like, the only reason I'm keeping you alive is I find you mildly amusing, and Ruby's like, thank you.
The reason I find you mildly annoying. Who do you think you are, Silver Eyes? Who do you think I am, Salem?
So yes, and apparently Osmond fucks, as well as Salem, and then they have.
I'm not sure if the kids were the same age, but if they're all different ages, that means Ozpin during that time has canonically fucked at least 4 times.
To be fair, is he really fucking if it isn't his own dick?
That just blew my mind.
I think it's more. I think it's more if he fucks if he's in control.
Yeah.
Do you-
I would assume most of the time it's like the people in control, like they might already have a family.
Do you,
I mean, we don't know if that first guy had a family.
I don't think the
but-
first guy did. No.
Also, is like the whole question of consent, because he's like, "Yo, is it okay if I use your body?" I was like, "No, that's weird." All
Is
right,
this some
cool.
kind of new kink? I say there's I don't know if you Phoenix, have you read or watched My Hero Academia?
I've watched the original series. I've not read the manga yet. I have yet to catch up on it, and I have not caught up with whatever the series called, Vigilantes or something like that.
Okay, so I don't know if I can tell you talk about this without spoiling it for certain
Just
characters.
say it. Just say it.
So-
Honestly, just say it to me.
Uh,
The ending of My Hero Academia and the past stuff has already been spoiled to me on Twitter and Reddit, so I don't care at this point.
I have to look up her name again. I can't remember like MHA names that well. What's her name?
Describe her.
Oh, it's Ochako.
Oh, Uraka Chaco, yeah.
Yep. She's dead.
Huh?
Well, quote unquote dead, not dead. Because give me a second. I have to find who is the other girl who is the blood girl. I can't remember her name.
Toga.
Yeah. So Toga puts all of her blood into Ochaka,
That I'm aware of.
and basically their souls kind of fuse into one. And so there's this meme going around where Ochako and Itadori are like hanging out, or because they're a thing now, canonically they're a thing now. And so every time there's so for example, I have to find the memes now because they're both hilarious. And
Is this about Toga basically taking over Ochako's body at times?
yes, so I think you know the memes I'm talking about.
I've seen the memes. One of them basically being where, Deku and Uraka are about to kiss, and then Toga takes over and basically wants to, French kiss.
Yes.
Which-
So you get where I'm going with this, right? Do you think Ozpin did that with the guy he took over? Like, hey, I'm sorry I took over your body, but like, I'm gonna let you have this one.
I had the hunch that let me finish. I had a hunch that he may have done it with the guy he had controlled during volumes 1 through 3, because there was never a moment where it feels like they swapped personalities. So I have a hunch he may have done it with that guy.
Before they came up with that concept.
Maybe. Again, it's just speculation. It's just a theory based off of what we've seen so far. It could be that they were just so similar in terms of personality that you just couldn't tell when they swapped. But still.
Do you think Ozpin got it on with Good Witch and just has like a witch kink?
Jesus Christ, you keep blowing my mind, Dakota.
Considering what I've seen on AO3 or an archive of. I'm trying to remember the name of the site, but you know what I mean. The fanfiction site with Ozpin basically being shipped with Good Witch during the events of volumes 1 through 3 and even parts of volume 4 during I guess something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Ozma turned Ozpin did have some kind of kink for the witchy variety, or I guess just found witchy like women attractive. I have no idea.
Oh yeah.
It just kind of occurred to me, if he's lived for so long and has had descendants, why hasn't he been building a following or an army?
So it's funny that you mentioned that, Dakota.
Those relatives will add up.
Okay, so it's funny that you mentioned that, Dakota, because he technically did at one point, because he was the king of Vale at one point. So when they so when he was that one World of Remnant episode where they were talking about the backstory of each individual kingdoms, and they went to Kingdom of Vale and talk about that. The Kingdom of Vale, the King of Vale had a silhouette that was green, and I think he had the Relic of Choice as his crown, even. So so he technically did at one point, but I'm pretty sure that after that event he realized, maybe brute force isn't the way to go.
Well, I just kind of mean a secret society. I guess he technically already did. So I guess he kind of did.
I was gonna say,
basically he's been around so long, he can immense followers. Where he's oh, this guy reincarnates. My grandmother was technically his daughter.
Like
I was
Avatar.
gonna say, are you asking Ozpin to basically be not Martin Short, Steve Martin from Cheaper by the Dozen, where he has 12 kids, dies and has another 12 kids, and just continues doing that until he has pretty much 100 descendants they can build into an army with special powers?
It's like Hajime Hime's backstory, where she's a succubus, where she quite literally has an entire planet of children, and she's also an alien as well. And so you know what's the best part about having so many kids? Free army.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think an army, but his secret cult or whatever should have been bigger.
Yeah, something
Like people
that.
like even not they don't even have to be related to him. Like they could be like very distant relatives. There's like, oh, my ancestors told me the legend of Ozpin, and we have to save the world from Salem. I guess he technically did because he had his whole like school. And he's like with all the teachers, and he has like Crow or whatever. But I feel like it should be bigger. There should be like more people in his society who like know what's going on. Like
Maybe, I
because
don't know.
his whole mission from the gods is like, all right, make sure the humans become good, or we will destroy them.
If you summon us, that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like you have to
Yes,
summon
you
us.
summon
like
us.
he should be like telling people in his society, like have a big society that'll be like, like having their hands and all everything, like politics, like who's in charge or whatever, to try and like influence humanity to be good in secret, which he kind of does, but just like it was only like 5 people.
He tries to, but the thing is that human nature allows them to end up getting into conflict. Because like there's that great war that happened 80 years prior to the events of the show that they just got out of, and they're just now in a state of peace. So you could arguably say that this would probably have been the right time for Osmond to assemble all the relics, summon the gods, and say, "Hey, we're good again." And then, but the issue is Salem. Salem's right there, sitting in the corner, and like, "Yeah, you get them relics, boy."
Yeah,
But I mean, like, Salem hasn't really been doing much. Like, yeah, she had her evil plan these seasons, but she's been kind of lying low. Like, Ozpin could have been more active and like had the like upper hand.
So yes, you're right. She is lying low, but that's the thing about the Grim, and that's kind of the thing of when she was teaming up with Lionheart behind the scenes. Is that Lionheart was purposely feeding her information of all the Mistral hunters and huntresses, which is why most, if not all of them, are likely dead.
It just kind of feels like Ozpin not having a larger following is just due to the fact that most of the background characters in season 1 were silhouettes, and now they're just like they don't have like we didn't introduce them then, so like it's too late to introduce them now. So it's just Crow and maybe
Again,
Ironwood.
It's early development syndrome where they have a baseline, but they didn't have enough time to develop it enough to make it like a good plan or good character thoughts. Speaking of the relics, and I do know what one of the relics does in later seasons. I'm not gonna say what it does. We know what the relic of knowledge does, or wisdom, and you can probably guess what the relic of destruction and creation does. What do you think the relic of
Bob, get down?
Well, what do you think the relic of choice does exactly?
Not quite sure, honestly. That's what I was always assuming, because like it's quite literally obvious that what creation and destruction
Like
does.
a Wheel of Fortune, like a Magic 8 Ball. It was like, should I do this? Yes. Should I do that? No.
Is it free will? Like give and take free will?
That's a good assumption. Again, it's not the one that has its function revealed later on. This is the reason I'm asking it, because to me, choice basically makes it so whatever you choose becomes guaranteed, but you have to make sure what you choose is clear, and if it's cloudy, then anything that still matches what you choose can still happen.
So without knowledge,
like
your choice is just gonna end up being like, that one riddle door where it's like one lies, one tells the truth, and you have to figure out which one does what. Otherwise, you're gonna fall to your death.
Precisely.
So closely to like a reality bending, like Wish Machine, kinda. Where you're like, I choose for this to be true. All right, that's true. Wreck of Choice could possibly be revealed to either truly kill or spare Salem.
That's an interesting theory.
I mean, Jin did say that when Ozpin asked how he can defeat Salem, she said, "You can't." She didn't say you can't in general, or if it's not he that can specifically.
Oh.
That's why I meant he can't, but what if, when we were watching it, like, if he can't be able to kill Salem, can someone else do it if they have the right skills or the right tools? This is why we need to get Volume 10 because there are so many questions that are left and so many like theories that people popped up that unless they decide to go through and make volume 10 are going to remain unanswered and unconfirmed.
Obviously, what you should ask is like, how will Salem? No, you can't ask this. That's the future. I was gonna say, how will Salem die? That predicts the future. Heck, the Jinn probably can't even tell him. I guess you could ask what's her weakness, but you can't ask her how she'll die.
Yeah.
Would asking how to murder someone be count as telling you the future?
No, because you're
Yeah.
because you're basically asking for a set of instructions on how something can be done. You're not asking someone how it will be done.
Hmm.
So it's like how do I put this table together? I don't have the instructions. To say do this, do this, do this, and then bam, you have a table. But you say hey, how will I be able to put this table together? That's basically asking for the future.
Hmm.
It's a matter of phrasing.
Yeah, and you can't ask who will kill Salem because that's predicting the future.
Yep.
If you want
But
that,
then again,
you
like, wait,
can. But still,
if he said, "How can I kill Salem?" and she says, "You can," that means she knows the future, which she can't answer that question.
at least not give that kind of information, or maybe she knows that Ozpin
But she shouldn't be
himself
able to tell him
doesn't have the
anything.
capabilities based off what he has at the time. Because it's not.
She should have like answered, "She's immortal," because that's not like predicting anything. Which is like you can't means someone else can, which is telling you the future. So she should have answered that.
Not necessarily, because again, saying that he can't means that in his current state he can't.
Okay.
But if he were to ask this another century later, he's more mature, more skilled, and has the right tools. She could answer with the tool you have in your disposal,
Hmm.
and that's it. It's a matter of perspective and how you interpret what she says. It can be seen as her knowing the future and just not giving the right answer, giving the specific answer, or her not knowing the future but still answering the question with what's currently there. It's confusing. Time travel is confusing.
Wibbly wobbly,
You know-
timely wimely.
I'm assuming the object of choice hasn't been introduced. Is that right?
So we saw the object of choice when the God of Light showed all four.
Yeah, but they
artifacts,
haven't found it. Yeah, we never
but
got that.
we've only seen. I'll say this right now. Up to volume 9, we only see 2 relics, and it's a relic of wisdom and one other.
Okay. What if the relic of choice is like the last one they find, and when they're like faced with the god's like, "Do you think humans should be spared or destroyed?" You get to choose.
That is the question, and I
So
think
it's
RWBY
like,
was
it's like, all right, I could destroy like humanity may be far gone. Salem's gonna be killing all kinds of people. There's war and everything. Do you want humanity to stay alive and go through that, or die? Like, do you think you can handle that and take care of all this, or do you want to just mercy kill everyone?
the way I see it, and this might be a cop-out ending, the way I say this. They might pull something similar to what Shulk did in Xenoblade and basically say, reset the timeline, reset everything. There are no more Grimm, but there's some other, maybe there are still Grimm, but whatever happened to Salem doesn't happen. Whatever happened to Ozpin doesn't happen. Just reset everything, restart Remnant with a clean slate by basically nuking the entirety of existence and starting from scratch. So it's not inherently destroying all humanity, more or less giving humanity a second chance with a clean slate.
I thought this was already their second chance, and the guy was like, "Ozpin, if this batch of human don't get their shit together, we're gonna just destroy them completely."
Well, not with a clean slate, because the world of quote unquote remnant still existed. The Grimm were still there, and Salem was still alive with her immortality.
Yeah, he's talking about rebooting RWBY as a whole. That way, it will give Rooster Teeth a clean slate from starting RWBY from scratch. So they're not gonna
Not inherently. I'm not saying about rebooting RWBY. I'm saying starting rebooting like the world of remnant, like canon, like within canon. I'm not like again, Xenoblade, restart the world, and then just end it with a clean slate so that whatever happens next is left up to your interpretation.
So
Basically, open up
Scooby-Doo
the
Mystery Incorporated.
pretty much. That's another example.
But the thing about RWBY right now, as things are, people are basically just asking for a reboot because with a lot of things that Monty set up and a lot of things that Carrie and Miles have been doing afterwards, like you can literally see the night and day difference of like what is Monty, what is post Monty, or what would have
pretty
been in
much.
Monty's vision, and they're just kind of like juggling because like literally what Carrie and Miles said is like we're gonna do the rule cool. We're gonna put anything that Monty would have found cool into RWBY, and then the thing about that is that you don't know if that's true or not. That's also both a good and bad idea. And on top of that, you still have corporate looking over your shoulder, making sure you're in line, which is one of the things that Monty always went around corporate.
Yeah, and that's the big problem because they want to do what they believe Monty thinks is cool, basically doing the whole the boss thing from Metal Gear Solid, but they're not doing what Monty thinks would make sense for his story.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at what is flashy, but not what looks right.
Exactly, and that's why up until like the maidens were Monty's idea. The relics and everything, I don't believe were his idea at all, because there was no mention of the relics up until that point. They might have included like hints of what the purpose of a maiden in volume 3, but that might have been just like post Monty ideas right there, starting from that there.
Maybe there was ideas of relics within like passing that Monty had, but never done anything concrete until they pulled up again. Like, okay, relics. Let's take this simple idea, expand upon it, and make it something that makes sense within RWBY. Only to realize that there's a reason why Monty didn't implement them at first. It was just something he said in passing because he didn't believe there needed to be more quote unquote MacGuffins to confuse things.
Yeah, and so that's why even in the book, talking about the creation and concept of the maidens and everything, that was all Monty had in mind was, hey, what if we had 4 magical girls who we call maidens, and then just implement them into the world of RWBY? And then Carrie quite literally says, well, we never had that idea before, but we could probably talk about it like at our next meeting when discussing, storyboard ideas for them, possibly, maybe. And then, unfortunately, Monty passed away before that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just had that bare bones idea on Monty's. And hell, you could arguably say that Monty's idea for the maidens were in the World of Remnant short, where they introduced the original summer, winter, fall, and spring maidens. And where you could quite literally see that each maiden had specific elemental magic unique to their respective seasons. And then you can tell where Rooster Teeth dropped the ball with that idea, because all maidens have the same fucking powers now.
Pretty much. Which, yes.
Do you think the maiden's origin story is bullshit, and the actual origin is that they're the reincarnation of Ozpin Salem's 4 kids?
That's what I originally assumed. Like maybe the origin was what is like told the not nursery rhyme, old wives' tale or something like that. But then, okay, let's make it so that's just the old wives' tale version, and this is the truth that people can debate. Which, sure, I guess, but I think the old wives' tale version kind of makes it a little more interesting, if you ask me. Like,
What
sure.
if it's a combination of the two, where like maybe their powers, we do know their powers do reincarnate, like the power, not really reincarnation, it's more like
They pass
Airbender, where it gets the power, not the personality, gets passed on. But like the combination of Salem's immortality and like dark magic and like Ozpin's like reincarnation power, it basically made the Fall Maiden's powers. So like when he met those 4 ladies at the barn, they were already going to be the next reincarnations. He just helped. They already had the power within them. He gave them shit. And he's just like, you already have those powers. I just unlocked them for you because you are the reincarnation of my children.
again, I'm not against the idea, but
Why would the God of Light not
again,
say, "Hey, I'm gonna reincarnate you and your kids"? That way, wait,
No,
wait.
that
That
I'm
was
saying this
before.
is
This
like,
was before
no,
they
think
had
about
kids.
these are the children between an immortal woman with the power of light who also has the power of chaos from like the dark god crossed with the DNA of someone who like can reincarnate. This is like a bunch of I don't think the gods saw like, oh wait, they actually fucked. Oh shit, we didn't see that coming. And like the kids were born with magic. No other humans had magic. So like,
and we can assume that during Ozpin and Salem's fight, they probably got obliterated.
Yeah.
Whether magic still passed on to other
Yeah.
people, but still, again, the old Whitetail, the old World of Remnant thing, that was fine enough. That was a good story that established that the maidens weren't born that way; they were created that way by having the power bestowed upon them. Mixed it in them being born that way and having the powers passed on to random people at first, but then passed on to people who, person's thinking about, unless sapped away, which that also throws another monkey wrench into the way things work. It's confusing. It just makes me wonder, why establish one thing if you're going to establish a second thing to counteract the other thing, and then counteract them with another thing, just to counteract the third thing, or the second thing?
yeah, it's kind of like my Silver Eyes argument. Like a bunch of things being introduced that kind of contradict everything.
And also regarding that whole Mary Sue thing, I didn't believe you at first, Jambi, until I thought about it some more and thought, yeah, she does kind of fit the title of Mary Sue to an extent.
So
at least in her elderly state, because she wasn't really a Mary Sue back when she was younger, per se. But
so
yeah,
let me.
More of a Mary Sue in terms of knowledge. She doesn't actually do anything really Mary Sue-ish, other than like, I know how to do everything.
So
But, like she's not physically able to do anything.
So let me grab a screenshot real quick of Dakota. You know Kilroy, right?
Yeah, we played Magic the Gathering, right? Or are you talking about like a fictional character?
Well, no, like him, yes, the Magic the
Yeah.
Gathering guy. So he is also a big fan of RWBY, and watched it all as well, and he's very opinionated as well. But he likes it for what it is for the most part.
Mhm.
The one thing he despises with a passion, though, from RWBY is Maria. And this is a literal like list of quotes. Like, but seriously, Maria's garbage. And I'll skip the first two because I think he is misremembering how that happened. But apathy. Good thing Maria found the book explaining everything and is unaffected and learns how to beat them. She wasn't really unaffected, but she read the book. She knew it was everything. Like an old wise
At least
woman.
it wasn't out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's not really Mary Sue-ish. It's just kind of like plot convenience. She found a book.
Yeah,
Someone was gonna read the book anyway.
That's the big thing. She's a mixture of a Mary Sue at times, but also a walking plot convenience device.
Yes, that's a good. It's like, oh no,
I
Ruby
just gotta
needs to learn how to use her
consider-
powers. Good thing Maria was a Silver Eyes warrior as well. Oh no, how do I get to Atlas? Good thing Maria knows someone. Oh no, that person doesn't like Maria. Good thing there happens to be a giant robot nearby that. This is where he's misremembering again. But like, hey, she knows how to fucking fly a Atlas plane, even though she's never handled this machinery before in her life. They're like, oh no, we're in the Atlas and don't know.
To be fair, she hooked her brain up to the Bluetooth, so like she technically still doesn't know how to fly a plane. So it's like,
I thought that was
makes
just like to help
sense.
her see, honestly.
maybe.
That might be half the reason. But still,
Didn't she say like she didn't know how to fly a plane or something? But that she like also she's like an ex like huntsman, so she knows huntsman stuff. The way I think it is like every character in RWBY's kind of overpowered, and like I guess you could argue is Mary Sue is. It just like she's just kind of like the trope of like, oh my god, grandma's secretly cool, and I think that's you know what I mean? Like she's not really Mary Sue. It's just kind of the trope of like, oh my god, grandma's actually cool. What?
Yeah.
So she's like they were going to introduce someone to train Ruby's eye powers. Like she serves her purpose for the story. She just kind of feels like she came out of nowhere. I feel like maybe if Crow knew her. Like, on the way to this area, we got to find someone I know, but I don't know exactly everything about her. I just remember hearing stories from Ozpet or whatever about a silver-eyed lady. We can use her for information, and then they just kind of like pull a Yoda, where it's like, we're looking for the silver-eyed old lady. It's like, oh, silver-eyed lady, I've heard about them. And then later she's like, wait, it was you the whole time? That's right. It feel less random because it's like, it's at a like she kind of feels like, okay, she served her purpose, but now it's like, why is she still with them? She could just leave.
Exactly, and that's one of the issues with
Hmm.
the narrative direction and writing with Rooster Teeth is,
Hmm.
is stuff like that. Like what you said, Dakota, as like
Hmm.
a plot example,
Hmm.
it's just perfect. That's perfect. Just be like a little
Hmm.
Yoda, just be gone after your
Hmm.
purpose to serve. But no, she sticks with.
Like, she doesn't have to be gone, but like it would be better than her just be showing up on the train as like, oh, she's just part of the cast now. Like, she's like, other than her kind of annoying fake grandma voice, like obviously it's like she's just like a younger actor doing a grandma voice. It's kind of annoying. She's kind of fine, and she serves her purpose narratively. It just feels like she came out of nowhere. I think that's just the big issue.
Yeah.
Like, if they went to look for her on their way to Atlas, and they just happened to be on maybe like, oh, we're gonna meet someone on the train, but I've never met her, so
Or
like we
maybe
don't know who we're looking for.
maybe they established her on the train, like had her
Yeah.
run into Ruby at some point, strike a conversation for a short while, and then move on.
Hmm.
Then it would have been a little better because it means that Ruby would have interacted with her at some point. They would have known that she was an important character, and then it wouldn't be such a massive, surprise that she suddenly became a part of the cast.
Like, I mean, would it have been helpful for like either Crow or Ozpin? Like, yo, if we're gonna take on Salem, you should probably learn how to use your eyes. Like, I've heard legends of a silver eyed person, like the last of them. We're gonna try and meet them at this train,
That
and
would
then it's like a mystery of who it is.
work. The issue is that with what Crow said is that because Maria kept her
Mhm.
identity so secretive that by the time she had her incident, had her lost her eyes and everything, everyone thought that she just went into hiding or died altogether. So it's like
Like,
I
Crow
understand.
wouldn't know, but like, would Ozpin seems to know a lot of shit, and heck, maybe Ozpin helped her like hide her identity.
Maybe we'll never know though.
I would be surprised.
It was like, yo, can you do me a solid? I'm blind now. I want to retire. I'm already kind of secret. Just don't mention me again unless needed. And the husband's like, yeah, cool. All right.
You would think that with how important and how powerful Silver-Eyed Warriors are against Grimm, you would think that Ozpin would have been like gathering them like Pokemon at that point.
But like, they feel very unrelated to the whole maidens and these objects arc, where it's kind of like, why don't you just make them the same thing, in my opinion?
it's basically a reason to make it so, you know, Ruby isn't the only silver-eyed warrior. The way I say it is it's Keyblade wielder syndrome.
Mhm.
You start with a character with one special trait, and then you give that trait to other people to make them feel like they're less special, but they're also, amongst people who have the same power as them, or at least a similar power, so they're not alone to fight this big threat. Which
I do love Maria's design though. I will give her that, and
Mhm.
because of her being of like Hispanic culture,
Mhm.
her last name quite literally is well, let me look up the actual definition because it's a design, quote
Mhm.
unquote. It's like a calavera in the context of the Day of the Dead is a representation of a human skull or skeleton. The term is often
Mhm.
applied to edible or decorative skulls, sugar skulls, from uh, made out of like sugar or can be made out of clay. So you have decorations
Mhm.
or you have snacks. Used in Mexican celebration of the Dia de Dead, Dia de los Muertos, and the Roman Catholic holiday of All Souls Day. Day of the Dead is also referred to as a Day of Remembrance because it's to help it honor the memory of your loved ones that passed away. And so it's kind of interesting that her last name is quite literally an entire Mexican cultural design choice. But I do like how her younger self does embody that a little bit better with the sugar skull designs on her mask, on her sai as well, and yeah, it's just and it's also the same textural design choice of one of my other bunny OCs as well, Cage.
I'm sorry, I just realized something and I can't get it out of my head. Sonic, I love Silver Vixen Platinas.
Yeah.
I just realized that, and now I can't get it out of my head.
Did you know they added that into Sonic 3? They have Shadow watching like a Spanish soap opera as a reference to like.
And
I
love they did that. Hearing not only Shadow say that, but Keanu Reeves Shadow say that is so good.
Oh, I gotta see that now.
It's so amazing. Oh my god. They embraced the Sonic meme in the first one. They embraced Knuckles loving grapes in the second one, and now they embraced the Shadow loving Latinas meme in the third one.
Yeah,
I'm wondering what kind of meme they're gonna embrace in the fourth one with Amy.
Like they did the do you know, like they had Eggman in the second one, like I can show you the way, but apparently they said they didn't know that wasn't intentional. The other ones are intentional, but like we didn't know about the do you know the way meme with Knuckles. Like
that was great. Intentional not. I think Jim Carrey knew what he was doing and he was going along with the joke.
Yeah, he's like with Knuckles of all characters, like I can show you the way.
It's a shame we're not gonna get Jim Carrey in the fourth one because both old Robotnik and new Robotnik or Eggman are canonically, gone.
Well, actually, there's leaked concept art for like it was either to be for this one, but it's probably to be used for the next one. The next one might introduce an alternate timeline where Eggman wins and like rules the planet, and that's how they bring into like Silver the Hedgehog.
I agree with you, Blue Lady. Maria's younger self was hot. I will agree with that.
Yes. Are you sure? Hang on. Send me those concepts because I think you might. If it's not an alternate universe, it might not alternate time. It might be alternate universe with I'm gonna say this slow so you know what I'm saying. Eggman Nega from like Sonic Rush.
Maybe.
I'm sorry, I didn't laugh at that. I know why you had to say that slow.
Because when you say it fast, it sounds bad. That's the reason why I have to say slow so people don't mishear me. But alternate universe, I think if they already brought in Metal Sonic and Amy with the end credit sequence, but they're going to introduce more characters for Sonic 4. That means they have to introduce
this is what
alternate world Eggman.
This is what the movie's get about. Like he has Metal Sonic. Like
okay, no, that's just straight up Jim Carrey Eggman. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be like he's dead, but this is gonna be an alternate timeline universe where he wins.
Unless this is one of Ancient Stone's wet dreams.
Maybe, but like it has Metal Sonic, so like we know Metal Sonic's gonna be in the fourth movie, so it's basically gonna be Terminator Apocalypse.
That's
where
right.
He can make his whole planet like his like amusement park. Finally,
Eggman Land. Doctor, since when did you want to build an amusement park? Since I was like the Mushroom Planet, Agent Stone.
Yo, it would be so cool if they introduced Sonic Sat AM characters, since it's gonna be like the universe where Eggman ones, like the Freedom Fighters, like Sally Acorn and shit.
If they brought in Sally Acorn and Bunny Rabbit, who would you want them to be voiced by?
I don't know. I've never actually watched the show. I just know of it. I think it would be neat to like make them canon though.
Here's the thing: I know of the Sat AM show and a lot of the characters. I did watch Sonic Underground and thought it was more than decent, but I seriously wish they finished it. And Sonic X, God, don't bring in a Chris Thorndike character. For the love of God, he was so bad. No offense to the voice actor, you did your best, but the 4Kids writing was just terrible.
Yeah.
Also, I know people have been saying this. They want Rouge in Sonic 4. Like, you just want to see bat titties, don't you?
Yes,
I mean, Rouge is cool.
I miss her old voice actress. She had that, sultry, I'm going to say it again, Silver Vixen voice. Now she doesn't sound for like proper, and it bothers the hell out of me.
I'm just worried if they introduce Rouge the Bat, they'll make like a Rouge TV show where she teams up with Wade Whipple's cop sister.
Oh god. I would not be surprised if they attempted that, or at least have like a little extra short to have like at the end or something else, but still.
When a cop has to team up with a jewel thief from another dimension, only insanity ensues. But also they got to prepare for like some like family fair or like a fair or something. And, like I got to impress my parents.
Actually, if they do bring in Rouge, you know who I want her to be voiced by?
Oh,
The lady who voices Ida in Owl House. Let me see if I can find her voice actor.
She'd be good.
Sure.
Jam, if you ever seen the Owl House, she's like the mom in Emperor's New Groove who was like pregnant.
Wendy Malick, that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
She had the perfect voice, but she's like a voice actress. Not like is she an actress or just a voice actress?
I think she's a
Let's see, American voice actress and former fashion model. So she could work as both a physical actress and a voice actress.
Yeah, I'm just like, are they gonna want to get a voice actress or an actor? You know what I mean?
like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, because the only exception so far has just been Tails, because you just can't recast Tails for some reason.
You legally can.
I mean, I guess, but still, it depends.
Bring back
But,
Jade.
they'll probably get that lady who plays Black Widow's sister in like the new Thunderbolts, because now she's famous with Marvel.
Oh god, I didn't see
Florence
Thunderbolts. I don't know what the hell's about. I only know this is very hated.
I still need to go see that movie. I plan on taking
What?
my roommate out to see
Thunderbolts is hated?
For some reason, I'll be honest.
Good.
I'm
I'll be
hearing
honest,
mixed things.
I immediately turned off of the Marvel universe after not Infinity War, after Age of Ultron, because at that point there were just so many movies. I was burnt the fuck out. I tried to watch one of the series on Disney Plus and gave up after 2 episodes because I was just so bored. Loki.
Okay. I heard Loki season 2 is good, but like the first one was alright, but like I just kind of like didn't really care, even though everyone else seemed to like it. I need to watch season 2 though.
I don't want to watch Thunderbolts mostly because they're finally bringing in my favorite Marvel comic character. So I want to see if they do him justice or not. I hear they did his evil half justice. I don't want to see if they're gonna do the good half.
Who?
I've seen
the Sentry.
I don't know anything about the movie, but I've heard like the vibe of what he's like. I'll just say they MCUify him. They make him silly and quirky. I think he's like the comic relief.
Oh boy.
Like all the ads is like, oh, you have like U.S. agent, you have Yelena, Winter Soldier, and Bob. Hi, Bob.
There's always a Bob.
Because Bob's a funny name. So I hear he's done really good. Like people really like him. Like he's a fan favorite. But I'm interested to see what you think of him, Jamie, since you've actually read the comics.
Yeah, I hear his evil half is done well because his evil half gets fucking dark, but he's a dark character in general. Like, so like you want to know how dark or like how he like makes comic books not kid friendly? Let me. So he fights the god of war Ares. See if I can find the picture real quick. Versus Ares. Oh, here it is. And let's see if I can. Oh, well, it's part of the picture. And see if I can actually find like the actual picture. If not, I'm going to have to go deep diving. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this was the end result.
Oh boy.
Dang.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. I can see why that's coming. Not for kids.
Yeah, the God of War. Now in 2.
Lovely.
But
Yeah.
I heard the movie's good. Like people like it. I didn't hear anything bad from it. But I have a feeling maybe people who are fans of Sentry might now. I feel like they MCU'd him the same way they MCUified Moon Knight in a way.
Yeah, they did. They did try to make Moon Knight, the TV show, a little bit dark. The issue
Hmm.
is that they didn't go hard enough.
Hmm.
Which, if they did, it would have been a perfect Moon Knight adaptation.
Hmm.
But yeah, they did. It had its problems. I will say that.
Hmm. I'm. I don't like spoil stuff.
All right, so
Yeah, back to RWBY.
back to RWBY. So we just talked about
The relic, the backstory,
backstory.
and how everything went to hell.
So yes, and so further on, when everybody learns of Osmond's slash Ozma's backstory, they all go to a little farm, and it's abandoned, and no one knows why. And then it turns out that everybody was dead in their beds from either starvation, malnutrition, because they look like they just gave up. So,
Yeah.
and so, I'll be asking questions of how y'all feel about this new Grim that was introduced this episode. It was also that one episode, the cliffhanger at the end where like that locked up cellar door starts opening slightly, then it just rolls the credits. I like that cliffhanger. That was a good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And it starts leaning. RWBY does start to lean in more of the dark elements of their series, between going from like the perspectives of Salem's faction to the farm episode. But it turns out that the reason why everyone in the farm died, the farm arc, was actually really creepy. It really was,
It
because
was.
of how the Grimm were designed, and the apathy Grimm quite literally utilized the power of depression.
They use the power of depression to basically weaken people, put them into a state of, like, basically paralysis so that they can sap their energy and leave them with nothing.
Yep.
I thought it
Which
was
is
like
why-
like they can't physically fight anyone, so they just make you so you like basically like I'm too tired, I'm gonna lie down, and then they kill you that way. And that the reason the people in the houses died was basically the founder buried a bunch of apathies under their basement, so that way they'd be like agreeable with him, and it just caused them to just stay in bed until they just died of
Yes.
starvation.
Starvation, malnutrition because of depression, and so much of it happening. And on top of that, they the farmer wanted to try to capture just 2 of them, so everyone would have like the edge taken off of them, so they're not so agitated, so aggressive, and more, and like you said, more agreeable with one another. But he didn't close the cellar hatchway the waterway quick enough, and ended up having an entire herd of those fuckers, and so that just backfired on everyone completely.
Also, beans.
Beans. The more you eat, the more you fart.
Indeed. I will say, there are some lighthearted moments between other characters. Also, I'm gonna say this. I know a lot of people probably will disagree with me with this, but I like how Blake attempts to make it up with Yang by helping around such, and Yang takes it as basically her
As an insult.
treating like a treats Blake's self as an insult because she thinks that Blake sees her as weak. But they talk it out saying that, Blake knows that it was bad for her to run away. She's gone over her fear and wants to make up with Yang and the others. Yang knows that she's trying to make it up to her, knows that she means no harm, trying to be a good friend and everything. But she's gotten over her PTSD, she's gotten over her moment of weakness, and just wants to show that she moved on. And even though it was ended a little too quickly, in my opinion, it still was good for how they did it, for the most part. Also, just seeing how often Crow drinks his troubles away shows how little he cares for his own health.
Depression will do that.
Kind of like, oh my god, all my loved ones have left me. It's my bad luck. That's the problem.
Ruby in the background.
Not my alcoholism.
We're in the background. I'm standing right here.
Alright, and so then afterwards, once Ruby starts to understand her powers a little bit better, thanks to Yoda, I mean Maria, she ends up killing off the herd of Grimm that were on her, but there's still a lot more. And so Weiss just burnt down the whole estate, and everyone just got in the fucking cart and just rode off in the distance, thankfully surviving to live another day. And they make it to the city of Argus.
She threw Molotovs, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. We can
Anyway.
get over this quickly. Ying got over her own PTSD a little too quickly. I agree with that, and I mentioned this, I think, last stream.
You did, yeah, and I agree. It was a little too quick. It might be the fact that they wanted to establish some kind of, after effect of her injury, but just wanted to get the story moving along. Which, as someone, I'm going to say this right now, as someone who tried to do something similar with his own fanfiction years ago, I still cringe reading it now. You gotta make sure it feels natural when a character gets over some sort of affliction. Otherwise, it's gonna feel forced.
Mm-hmm.
And with the way they did it with Yang and Blake,
forced.
with, Yang getting over PTSD, Blake getting over her fear, they forced it just to get along with the story.
Yep, and which is weird because like they mentioned like, oh, I've been dealing with this off screen. I'm like, no, you have not. And on top of that, this goes back to my rant again about the first attempt of DC making RWBY comics, where we were supposed to get Yang's overcoming her PTSD through the gap filler between that time skip, and no, they didn't. Oh, hello. Hello.
Raiders.
Welcome in, Raiders. Basil, welcome in. We're just talking about RWBY Volume 6 right now.
I kind of unrelated to what you're talking about. I kind of just gone up Brave World because, while watching it,
thank you for the follow.
Maria kind of reminds me of Maz from like the Star Wars sequels, and I just looked it up. Like they came out before the season of RWBY. Do you think she was just like based off of Maz?
I doubt it, because again, with how the animations work, they have to design characters well ahead of time.
I know,
Also, Pico, thank you for the follow. Wait,
it might just be a pure coincidence.
that
like
Boku no
little
Pico
old
reference?
lady with funky personality who like knows everything and has like goggles. Like they're the same. They're very similar characters.
I wouldn't be surprised if by the time they created her character, they decided to just go along with it and make it.
Thank you everybody for the follows. Thank you again, Basil, for the raid. What were you playing? Overwatch 2? Ooh, it's been a hot minute since I played Overwatch. I don't play Blizzard games anymore, but thank you for the raid anyways. At Boku Pico. I see what you did there with that name. Repo and Overwatch. Oh yeah, that's what you said. Yes, that's true. How was Repo and how was Overwatch? Did you win?
Anyway, they get to whatever the town was called. I literally drew a blank when
Argus?
I'm trying to remember it.
Argus?
Thank you. Argus. And we get to meet John's older sister, which...
She's a lot shorter than I
grandparent
expected.
fuck. Also, we have an official confirmed lesbian relationship by... like married couple by Volume 6, which
Yeah, because
awesome.
Ilya was the first established, confirmed lesbian character back in Volume 5, and then, well, technically, yeah, Volume 5, because they introduced her in 4, but then they actually went to her backstory in Volume 5, and then we get Terracotta and Jean's sister, which I can't remember her name for some reason.
Hang on.
Oh, been world. We win, Basil. We won.
Nice.
Where Monty Ohm didn't pass away after 4. Yes, I agree with that. I wish Monty Ohm didn't pass away, but Such
Yeah.
as like
Saffron is her name.
Saffron. Oh,
So
so
Saffron Terracotta.
Saffron Terracotta. Okay. Her name is
Random
Saffron.
question: were the two train guys Tweedledee and Tweedledum?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
That was kind of the joke there. The one's
Yeah.
D, one is Dudley.
And then the other died.
Yes.
Rip
Also-
D.
Also, baby is called Adrian.
These
with
nuts.
nickname.
Damn it, Dakota.
Rip D's nuts.
God damn.
Imagine how different the show would have been. Oh, vastly different. That's why I often like. We were actually just talking about like how a lot of stuff that has been happening post Monty has like not been, something you would think he would imagine, because there are a lot of ideas that have happened like Volume 4 onward where you can clearly tell that weren't his ideas. Like example would be the relics, because when Monty died, Carrie and Miles admitted that the last idea Monty had was the Four Maidens, and then after that, where the relics were introduced as a justification for the maidens. And incoming ad break, everybody. So heads up.
Yeah, it's basically they tried to implement things that they thought Monty would have thought was cool, but they didn't think about if Monty would have thought it would have fit within the world he created. They thought about something flashy, but doesn't look right, as I mentioned before. Which, if it was something flashy, then cool, but don't make it essential to the story.
Mm-hmm. Which is unnecessary justification for something that did not need justification for in the first place. And that's going to be our segue into Jean meeting our Pyrrha's mother.
And also, another sad music in the form of Forever Fall.
Mhm.
Listen to the full track on YouTube. It is so well done.
Oh yeah, I've listened
But
to
yeah.
everything from RWBY, even Boop. I've played Boop at work so many times that people gotten sick of me using the fucking sharing the speaker. I even had a manager that would say, "Hey, Jambi, play Elton John. Jambi, play Beatles. Play something else than RWBY." I'm like, no.
Honestly, if someone said play Elton John, it's like, okay, what do you want? I'm Still Standing, It's Called the Blues, Rocket Man, just anything other than whatever you're playing currently.
Basically, that was basically it. There should have been more between Pyrrha's mama and Jean. There should have, honestly. Like, I'm not saying that that Jean getting closure by encountering Pyrrha's statue and meeting her mother inadvertently by sheer fucking coincidence is a bad thing. It's just they were literally, and I'm gonna keep saying, I will die on this hill knowing I'm right. Pyrrha had no reason to fucking die. I will die on this hill. There is no logical. Maybe if the implementation of the relics was introduced back in Volume 3 properly, or at all, and then she was told, oh yeah, you're gonna be a maiden, you're gonna be a key for these vaults that are keeping these relics hidden from Salem, so like we're gonna need you to be our next fall maiden, so we know that key is in good hands. Cool. Okay, she has a justification to go after Cinder. Cool. Gotcha. She does not have any of that knowledge prior. So there just is no reason for her to have gone after Cinder at all. Unless she knew. But if she did know, we were never explicitly shown or told in Volume 3.
I just feel like it's just in character for her to go, because like
Isn't that the thing? They try to make it so it is in character.
Yeah.
When in reality, like logically, it makes no fucking sense.
yeah, but like it does. Like the way I think of it is like, if you think of Pyrrha as a character, she's kind of like raised as like a gifted child, where like, oh my god, you're so good and popular. You're so good at everything, so therefore she's popular.
Welcome back
And
to
then
my
also is her personality of where she's like, she just wants to help and try. Like if she can try and help save
Alright.
people, she will do it.
Enjoy your lyric,
And,
Basil.
this whole maiden stuff was thrown onto her so suddenly, where she's like, you have to save the world or whatever. Like she's gonna like, even if she didn't get the powers of the fall maiden, she's still like, I need to try and help save people. Maybe I can do something. Even though like,
So you
there's
go
no
after
way she could have defeated.
So you go after the person that your headmaster could not beat with ungodly powers that you are told it could basically reshape as far as you know, reshape reality as you know it. On top of that, you have a giant fucking Grim on top of that. Like, yes, Pyrrha is a prodigy, and she's built up as being the best student Beacon's ever had in the last God knows how many years. But like, she even you have to know that you're not gonna be the Michael Jordan or LeBron James for everything.
Like, she probably went up there knowing she probably was gonna die, but she's just kind and wants to save people. She's like, I gotta try.
Okay, I get that. I'm with you there, Dakota. 110% with that idea in mind. But then there was no one up there to be saved.
I would say counterpoint.
No,
there was
like,
no
she was
reason for her to go up there.
No, she's been told, like, all right, if Cinder gets this thing, she'll be evil god lady. Well, that happened. She's like, oh shit, I should probably maybe do something and stop evil god lady. Even if I will die, I need to try.
Ooh, I make metal fly. I mean, magnetism is a lot more powerful than that Boku Wapiko, but yes, I get your idea there. It's like, but it's like how it's used. And honestly, if Pyrrha stuck around any longer and she actually mastered her powers outside of this, like utilizing like just metal objects, so holy shit, she would probably be like Magneto levels, if not like just below that.
Yeah.
Just like, I feel like she's just kind and is like, if like this lady's gonna cause the apocalypse, I should probably go try and do something. Because like my teachers all of a sudden started info dumping me all this like dark existential shit about gods and maidens and shit. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna go stop her. She sounds scary.
Exactly. And the way I've had people argue, oh, maybe the actress, was going to be on leave for a while. They had the character off. Like, have you not heard of recasting? And also that there was immediately
I feel like this was always planned.
4.
I feel like it was just always planned because she is Achilles. Like, this was just something they were planning.
So the thing about that, Dakota, yes, I get. So here's the thing: is that Monty Ohm did plan, and even the voice actor for Pyrrha was even told, like at the beginning of her casting, it's like, "Hey, here's your role. Congratulations on getting it. Just letting you know, she's gonna die in season 3. So are you okay with that?" And she had to keep that secret for so long.
And that's like she should not be named telling Alan Rickman, "Oh yeah, Snape dies by the last book." Like. Okay. Thanks for letting me know and not letting me be surprised by the time I film those scenes.
But
like, that's like telling a character who's gonna die at the end of the series, at the beginning of the series. Like, okay, but you couldn't have told me this like closer to the end of recording or filming. No, I wanted to let you know just so you have that on your mind.
So yeah, my only problem with John meeting Pyrrha's statue and her mother is that they just created unnecessary justification for why they had a big plot hole of why Pyrrha went in to go after Cinder. Cinder.
I generally don't think it's a plot hole. It's just she just wanted to help.
It's a pointless part. The only other thing I can think of that the reason why they wanted to have that moment was to have a reason to play the vocalized version of Forever Fall, which they've been hinting at since Volume 1, which, cool and all, but I feel like it's kind of ruined by the fact that her death was semi-pointless.
Like, it was in good intentions, yes. Like, she was going to fight a bad guy, yes. But at the same time, it's like...
You didn't have to. You could have... Didn't have to do it.
But it's just in character. She's kind and just wants to try her best. Like, if she has the opportunity to help people, she's gonna do it, regardless if it's gonna like risk her life or not. And she's like, I've been info dumped all this stuff about her. I should probably go do something since things are like shit's hitting the fan and our first plan failed. Like Ozpin died.
Which makes sense.
You know what I mean? She's on her own.
Well, which makes sense, yes. That's why I'm saying, like, I agree with you that that's in character for her, but, like, at the same time, there's literally Grim everywhere around her, and her fellow students are getting gunned down by White Fang as well. So, instead of going for the Queen Bee, knowing that it's going to be, like, a losing battle, why not just help somebody who hasn't been killed yet, like Ozpin?
I mean, she's the only one who knows about the maiden, so maybe she's like, well, I know who's causing all this. Maybe kill the leader. It will help stop the apocalypse and all of everything else. Because like Grimm and the White Bane have always existed. This is like a new threat that no one knows about. Like a woman with god powers. I should probably go stop her.
It's like some guy with a
No
pistol.
one else is.
Okay.
She's gonna get away.
Here's the thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead,
The
Phoenix.
basic comparison is like, oh, you know who the leader of the mob boss is? Let me go in with a pistol when the guy has a fucking minigun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's gonna do anything.
Yeah, but like, that's like if. But like, imagine that's like with she would be prepared. Then this is kind of like you're in a gunfight, and they're like, all right, I'm gonna go kill the boss, and then you just like die to the boss. Like there's this chaos and sudden.
So after talking about this and discussing with you guys, literally with in the last 5 minutes, talking about my personal preference of why I think it was pointless for Pierre to die, the only possible logical conclusion of why she went after Cinder at all is possibly because maybe she had the idea of, hey, if I kill Cinder, I will still become the Fall Maiden, and the bad guys won't have the Maiden on their own. That's my only logical understanding or justification for that happening. But she.
I understand that, but again, the power difference is just
staggering.
Like apples and oranges. Exactly, staggering. Like the battle between Cinder and Raven, that's different because they're both maidens, but the difference is that Raven is much more combat familiar with the sword, and thus technically has a bit of an advantage over Cinder. But with Pyrrha and Cinder just has much stronger power, while Pyrrha has magnets. And I can't. It's not good idea to make a very bad reference.
No, she was just probably just in the moment. Like this, like so much shit was going on. She was just lore dumped about maidens all of a sudden. How like, oh, we're gonna like erase your soul and replace it with someone else's, and you need to save the world and whatnot. And then, oh no, now the terrorists are blowing up our school, and you're framed for murdering a fellow student. There's a lot of shit going on. It's probably just the heat of the moment. I should kill Cinder since no one else knows about it.
Also, this is something that bugged me since I saw that scene.
Don't Stitch. By the logic, that same logic, then what do you make of the fact that Neo basically mopped the floor with Cinder for a majority of the? Yes, and so we're actually gonna get to that, Stitch, in like probably like maybe a few minutes after we like get through the discussion. So sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
Something that really bugged me. Why is the maiden's like stasis machine in an open area? Why is the quote unquote like vault that keeps her in open area that just screams battlefield? Why is it not in a secure area with like 3 sets of doors, turrets everywhere, and cameras to keep an eye on things?
I think it's because Ozpin probably had the idea that since this is like, you know, his vault that he has made within, you know, in the last few centuries with specific design choices that to get in, it was like, oh, this is good. It's just not gonna be like it's not gonna be like, you know, difficult to get into, but it's not gonna be like an easy cakewalk, you know, to find. But then, and if Cinder did not see Pyrrha and Ozpin as well go into his studies and everything, they would not. She would not have found where the vault was, and then where we are now.
I understand that, but the difference between making something hard to find and hard to get into, if there's a safe that's like made of adamantium, it's in plain sight, I know where it is, but I'm gonna have a hell of a time getting into it because it's adamantium. But if that safe is made out of cardboard and it's like 50 feet underground, the moment I find it, it's mine.
Yeah.
It's like, where's Waldo? Only Waldo is wearing just bright purple.
Light. The maidens would have worked better if the relics were missing and Ozpin needed to find them, thus made powerful maidens to aid in the search. I could probably see that, maybe.
That would be an interesting turn, yeah. Make it so the gods gave the relics, but spread them throughout the world.
Like Dragon Ball.
And the only way to find them, yeah, like Dragon Ball or Chaos Emeralds. And the only way to find them is to have maidens who can basically resonate with each relic, and thus be able to find them easier. But yeah, they didn't think it through.
Yeah, they did not think the maidens through. I feel like the maidens are cool, but like they feel like kind of like not important to really the plot. So it's just like, why were they introduced? like maybe Monty had a story planned for the maidens, but it's like the writers just like, well, they just have powers. What do we do with that?
And then he died, and they weren't able to elaborate.
Hmm. It's like, all we know is they have powers. They're important, but we don't know why they're introduced or what they're supposed to do. So they're just like, all right, they're like guards for the keys or whatever to
Basically.
find God. And again, like if Ruby was somehow connected to the maidens, I don't know. There'd be like they'd feel more important.
So,
I don't know.
Ruby and Silver-Eyed Warriors aren't connected to the maidens, but as we go along, I will tell you now that it's insinuated in Volume 6 at least that Silver-Eyed Warriors are connected to the God of Light.
But it's
Which-
like another thing. It was like, what's the fucking point of maidens?
Yes.
Why
exactly.
are we discussing the lore of Silver Eyes? What's up with this is maiden crap? When like the main plot point is the Silver Eyes.
Yes.
It's basically the best comparison I can say is that it's basically adding so many peripherals to a PC setup and not knowing what to do with half of them. Definitely looking for experience.
I guess it's supposed to be like make the world feel big, where there's like, oh, there's all kinds of magical shit going on, but it just makes like the maidens just feel kind of like after their first introduction, they're just kind of nerfed.
Basically, and so I guess this is a good segue to get into Cinder. She somehow survived. I don't know.
Cinder has returned.
God damn it, Dakota. I hate how you're accurate on that.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Somehow Cinder has returned. It's the Palpatine reference. Somehow Palpatine's returned, and then somehow Cinder's returned. You like there's no logical explanation of why Cinder survived that fall.
Her death was greatly exaggerated.
Not only survived that fall, but survived that fall, like without a scratch on her somehow. Like if they made it so she fell,
She
like
was wheezing a little bit.
well, not, like I guess, but the way I see it, if she had fallen, and while still frozen, she lost her Grim Arm, that would have been interesting because it means that she would have, been seriously injured, had to basically learn to adapt to fight without it. She can fly, yeah, Stitch.
Did she get hit by it in the head or something? Fell off a
No,
cliff?
so what happened is, and here's another thing that don't make any logical sense about it, because like her aura was down, so she was exposed to being literally stabbed to death if Raven wanted to. But she was also frozen as she fell, so there's no way she could have like acrobat her way out of dying.
Okay. I was frozen today.
Perhaps the ice broke her fall.
Well, keep in mind, she fell into some sort of water, like into the sea.
She fell into water. But the thing is that there was no evidence showing that the water tension was broken as she fell. So she logically she should have fell into water with the same force and impact as me jumping from a 5-story building onto concrete.
Exactly.
So she should have been dead. Or
she should have been
broken arm.
If it's not the impact of her landing on the water that killed her, it's the fact that she probably spent an unknown amount of time underwater that would have suffocated her. She should have drowned.
But she got maiden and Grim powers.
She's still mortal despite the fact she has Grim powers. She's not immortal like Salem.
Oh yeah.
And you can't say main character immunity because
she's not a main
at that
character.
point she served her surface. She served her purpose. Give like the secondary antagonist role to somebody else. Give it to Neo if you have to, because she survived after Volume 3. So make her the secondary antagonist to Salem.
Which we're gonna.
What I thought was like Emerald was gonna get the powers. Just randomly, Emerald was gonna realize, wait a minute, I have magic powers, and Salem.
I would have been okay with that.
You're my new second in command now.
Would love that.
And then Emerald has like that character arc where like, do I want to serve Salem? I was just in it for Cinder. And that's kind of weird.
Reason.
So
again, I would have been okay with that. That would have been interesting to me.
All right, so
I thought, nah, Cinder's a really popular character. Let's keep her around. Let's find a way for her to skirt death and survive for some fucking reason. Anyway, continue.
Well, I mean, her name is Cinderfell, so maybe she just Maybe your semblance is falling off of cliffs
There's
and
jokes about
surviving.
that from Chibi, yeah. Anyway,
She's supposed to be Cinderella, because Cinder fell.
Mildly biased because she's my favorite character, but I'm firmly believe that Neo is Ruby's best antagonist. And so
Yeah.
that's a good segue going into Cinder looking for Little Miss to get black market levels of information to hunt down Team Ruby and her friends and everybody. And turns out there was also people also looking for her as well. And then it turns out, drumroll, it was Neapolitan the entire time looking for Cinder. And then we got awesome, borderline one-sided fight sequence of Neo just dogging on Cinder as who pointed that out? I think it was Stitch. Yeah, so Stitch. And it wasn't literally until she started using her maiden powers that she was like, "Okay, stop it."
She can fly now? She flies now.
She can always fly. She decided not to use it until
Yeah, if it's a
she was
Star Wars
outmatched.
joke, they could always
You know.
fly.
I know.
But yes, we get Neo reintroduced to the series. She has Roman's hat as well, which I'm not sure how, because I thought that hat was digested as well with him. So did she have
His hat and his cane, but
Yeah, she probably dug it out of his shit. It's fine. Can the Grimm shit?
Sure. We don't know.
No,
It's
they don't have
possible.
the same digestive tracts or like biology as like normal animals. So because quite literally, if you kill them, they dissipate into
Maybe
air.
the hat popped out when it just turned to dust.
Well, here's
Or maybe when Ruby froze the wyvern, she just basically chopped into its stomach and took it and his cane from his rotting corpse in the wyvern's stomach.
To be fair, he probably has multiple hats, like multiple pairs of clothes. Maybe she just like got through shit.
Maybe.
He's got five sets of the same outfit.
My bowler hat collection.
She has Cinderella. She has the evil sisters or something. I think isn't
Something like
next.
that?
Yeah, isn't next volume Cinder's backstory as well revealed, or close to
I
it?
thought we already got our backstory in volume.
I guess we only got like Emerald and other guys' backstory.
No.
I don't care to know his name.
I'm pretty sure next volume is going to be Cinder's official backstory, where we pretty much get like the actual like Cinderella. Why she's called Cinder because she's named after Cinderella. Analogy or
Let me guess. Did she lose an arm and then like Salem gave him a new arm instead of a shoe?
That would be funny. No, it's like she was mistreated poorly because of like her stepmom or some shit like that, if I remember correctly. And then Cinder kind of like crashed out and then was recruited by Salem by chance. I can't remember. It's been so long.
Yeah.
What else? So yes. Neo and Cinder are working together to hunt down Little Red Riding Hood. Or I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Cinderella and Neapolitan Ice Cream team up together to hunt down Little Red Riding Hood. There we go. Better.
Along with the Red Riding Hood's friends, the Beauty, Snow White, and
Goldilocks.
Goldilocks. Thank you.
Yeah, see, Dakota's learning. He's catching it on.
Random thought like the ticking crocodile was really cool. Like, oh, I get that reference.
Oh my god! I did not catch that the first time. Oh my god!
What?
A bad guy with a clock is really cool. It makes me think of that Adventure Bros thing where he's talking about the ticking clock. I've never seen the show, but I've seen that clip. It's like, oh, we need more bad guys with ticking clocks.
For real. I did not get that connection until you mentioned that, Dakota. Holy
The
shit.
ticking crocodile.
Yeah,
that was cool. Oh, that's sick.
That was smart.
They killed her.
And they killed her.
To be fair, she'd be an old woman now.
This is true. And she was also a servant of Salem of the time, as well, as she said, because our master is hunting you because of your eyes. And then in Volume 4, Hazel was like, we've hunted their kind down before. And so, or we've dealt with their kind before, something like that. And then it goes into insinuation that
They really were.
Ruby is basically Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Possibly, we never know because we never get the official confirmation if Summer is dead. As far as I know, I don't know what the future seasons hold because like I said before, I stopped at Volume 6, so I'm going into Volume 7, 8, and 9 blind.
And I'm going in rewatching it, and I know stuff that you don't, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I want you to be surprised.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I don't remember. But like I said before, my ex kept on spoiling everything for me when she kept watching the series, so it's
Yeah.
I'm either going to say, oh, now I remember, or it's like I'm just not gonna notice it at all in the first watch through.
Mhm.
Cinder was abused by her stepmom and sister. She got a mentor who trained her and prepared her to leave. Cinder, however, oh wait, you're telling us her backstory already. Spoilers.
Well,
It was very Sasuke and Itachi situation. Okay, I get the reference. Dakota will not. I think that's a common opinion, sadly. Talk was... Oh, her name is Talk too! Wow, was such a cool what-off
Yeah.
villain.
that's
They-
hilarious.
They could have had a whole thing where they could have introduced Captain Hook and they could have been like, oh, we were like ex-lovers, but then you cut off my hand. They're like, shut up. Now we're enemies, but frenemies.
On a similar thing, how many of you have seen the Peter Pan sequel, like straight-to-video sequel?
Return to Neverland. I
Yeah.
think it's been a while. But
They
yeah,
replaced the fucking crocodile with a goddamn octopus. And I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
why.
Oh, that's stupid.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. It was always weird. It reminds me of like the Little Mermaid sequel where they introduces Ursula's evil sister.
I hope Summer's alive. We need the MILFs. I agree with that sentiment.
Right.
We need
Well-
Kali to come back.
Yeah, keep in mind, I know that the live action movie Hook with Rob Williams gave a reason why the crocodile is alive because they killed it.
Mhm.
They killed the crocodile and hung its head in the town.
Yeah.
They give no explanation in Return to Neverland. Like, oh, did the crocodile get killed off screen? Did it just run away and look for someone else? Or did for some reason some kind of magic transfigured the crocodile into an octopus?
They just did it for like
Shock
the
value.
lulz and for like merchandise, probably. Like, we can't do the same thing, so let's do the same thing but different. So that way we can do octopus merch this time. Because I remember having like the McDonald's toy as a kid, where like you could build a pirate ship together. Like each toy is like a piece of the pirate ship, and one of them had the octopus pop out.
Man,
Ah,
McDonald's
that's
toys
nostalgia
suck
right there.
now.
Yes, they do.
I think I only had multiples of the octopus part. Maybe one with Captain Hook. That was kind of cool. So we had the Captain Hook and the octopus fighting.
Nice. Yeah. Like what I was gonna say.
So we've got to Neo and Cinder teaming up, and so we go back to Argus with Ruby, Juniper, or Ranger, I mean, and everybody else, where they're trying to figure out how to get into Atlas to deliver the relic to Ironwood. Oh, that's really cool to go to, not gonna lie.
Like each piece of the ship was like one of the toys.
Oh.
I only had Captain Hook and the octopus.
Oh, I remember this now. I had Peter Pan.
I don't think these toys were around or like being sold in my local McDonald's when the thing was around. Either that or I just didn't know about them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't remember getting them. I just remember having it, so I must have been like a baby, maybe.
These toys are so cool back in the day. Why are McDonald's toys so bad now?
I probably still
Yes.
have them somewhere. I know I still have the hook. I probably still have the octopus somewhere.
As far as I know, people still have these toys and try to sell them or selling them for a fortune because they're so rare.
Oh yeah.
Especially if they're like a full set, like these kinds, the McDonald's Transformers. Those things were so loved and now are worth so much because of their collectability.
McDonald's has
people-
Squishmallows coming soon.
I saw that. I'm kind of curious about that. I might actually see if I can get one of those through Valley Eats. But pardon me.
You ever see the Inspector Gadget one? Where you get different body parts of him, and you could build a giant Inspector Gadget action figure.
Oh
I
my!
do remember. Every single time I went to McDonald's, the toys were always out.
Oh, I remember. I had the
like
left
his inner
arm.
chest and his arm. Yeah, I like had his inner chest where like you could see like his chest is like in two parts. Like I guess the shirt and then the back with his head, so you can see his inside. If you like push his head down, it makes like a fire spark.
Nice.
Give the all
Cool.
spark to fucking Inspector Gadget and
Also,
watch him be a transformer.
Good God, they got Matthew Broderick's face down perfectly, even though the movie was terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That movie was peak. Y'all just haters.
I did like the sequel with French Stewart though. I think
I liked the first one and hated the second one.
Incoming ads.
Oh dear.
Been a while. It's probably a bad movie. For some reason, it's like this movie is so weird. I like it. I miss that era of Disney live action movies.
Those days were better because at least Disney give a damn.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. The movies are still shit, but like they were like this is so weird. It's kind of cool.
Didn't you just call us haters?
The movies were so bad they were kind of funny. Nowadays they're just bad. If a movie is so bad it's funny, that's good because it means there's some enjoyment found from how terrible it is. But if it's just terrible, then there's no fun to be had. There's no enjoyment.
Yes. Okay. So we talk about Argus. We're back with teams Ruby and Ranger, and then they're trying to get to Atlas through
the Watchtower.
The Watchtower, and so they make a plan to have. Okay, so first, there is a border control going on where the borders to Atlas are closed, and so we got another short stack woman. There's a lot. This season has like a lot of short stack people. Like,
I think someone in the character design team had a thing.
Yeah, you have Maria, you have Cordova, and then you have fucking Neo coming back, and like she's short as shit. Like I remember her Neo being short, but she is like I don't know, like her size comparison next to Cinder is like drastically smaller than I remember.
I just had a random memory thought. You know that short we watched about Adam?
Yeah, the short.
The part where he opens the door and his like little like henchmen like run into the building, and you just hear gunshots. Like if it transitions to a different flat part of the flashback, but like for a second, I was like, did you just run and immediately get shot?
So that's
kind of funny to me.
So that was actually a cool, clean transition from like past to present. But yeah, that was pretty neat. That's pretty funny.
No, it's like, did they just fucking die? It was jarred. We're like, wait, what? All right, go. They just walk in immediately, a bunch of gunshots. I'm sorry. Continue where you're going.
Oh yeah, you're fine. So basically, all the good guys are. Oh, hold on, I'll give it a couple seconds because everyone's in ad hell right now. But I actually have to find the comment Blue Lady made because she made a comment saying how they shouldn't have killed off Adam. Let's see if I can bank off of that real quick if I can find it. Here it is. Give it like 20 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, welcome back, everyone, from Ad Hell. I hope you all had a good time there. So what Blue Lady says is, I wish they hadn't killed Adam. His death was pathetic, and he would have been a good character for redemption. His original fall was because of humanity treating him poorly. Also missed opportunity to have him fight Weiss. So there's a lot there to unpack, because that's both her headcanon theories and some very good, valid points. Because the White Fang mostly directed their rage and all their misgivings dealt to them by the Schnee Dust Company, predominantly speaking, because of the unfair treatment Faunus were receiving at this time. So that's a valid point. Why did Adam Taurus never go after Weiss Schnee, for example. Because even Weiss...
It's kind of like my argument last time. Like, last season should have been Atlas, not like, what was it, Haven?
Yeah.
It would have connected better with Weiss, the White Fang, and everything, given Weiss something to do. But, like, I don't know. They just... So, wait, Weiss just leaves Atlas just to go back the next 2 seasons later? Like...
Yep, that is a running meme too, as well. And even the show points it out twice. They're like, I just left there. Why am I going back?
Good question. Next question.
So it's like,
eventually they're just gonna have to like redeem like Yang's mom, so that way he can just teleport everywhere.
that would be like so fucking helpful. Yeah, idea. Oh, but yeah. So but like going with the Adam bit is like, for Adam's character is like his misgivings and his him being treated poorly by humanity is one of the many examples of why the White Fang were what they were at that point under Sienna Khan's leadership, where they used more forceful, aggressive tactics to make their point come across. And I said that what was behind Adam's mask would come back, and this goes into many fan theories, like I said before, where how Faunus were basically treated as slaves, and I'm pretty sure that, and I would have gone with this fan theory too, and it would make sense of why Adam Taurus, with how young he is, because he's around Blake and Yang's age, if I remember correctly, if not a little bit older, and out of all the Faunus that we know are aware of that have been mistreated by the Schnee Dust Company poorly, why was he the only one that literally had their company logo branded across his face? That seemed...
Maybe he was more like resilient to being branded like an arm, back, or leg, and ended up getting branded on his face by force. I don't know.
Well, we never
He
know.
He could have been in like a Schnee mine, and maybe there's like an accident where you get pushed into something like a metal logo.
That's also a possibility. We will never know because
He will never get more details on Adam because he got this season.
I'm honestly surprised he came back, because I thought he was just done. Because this is kind of like I don't really care he died. It's like, okay, that's how he ends.
Honestly,
But I don't mind.
you're not done unless you're dead.
Yeah. But like Yang and Blake murdered a guy. do they need to like a minute to process that?
It's funny you mentioned that.
Actually killed a human actually in the show.
Blake, she might need more because she basically killed someone that
Yeah, it's
close to.
It's not every day you murder your ex
And abuser. With Yang, she may have found some satisfaction finding getting revenge, but she still killed somebody. So it's not like she's gonna just go way past it.
It's always weird when fictional characters murder someone, they just kind of brush it off. Like, no, that's gonna, even if it was an evil bad person, you murdered someone, that's gonna be like on your mind now. Like, I did that. That's kind of fucked up.
Yep. This is their little summer secret.
Yeah.
Not even a summer secret, because Blake even tells everybody as soon as they regroup with everyone else that what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam gets got, and so while Yang and Blake are busy fighting Adam, we have, and there's such, it's supposed to be serious, but it's like such a big tonal difference to me that while Blake and Yang are fighting for their fucking lives against the person that put so much trauma and PTSD in them, and literally taking one of their arms, you have a giant, silly, cartoonish mech fight going on over yonder. It's like
this season kind of reminds me of like Legend of Korra-ish. It's like, oh, mechs are here now.
Yes, and I don't know, it's just it took me out of it for quite a bit. At the same time, the reason the mech came out in the first place is, and I said this earlier before, is like, She was trying to murder fucking kids.
Yeah, it was very stupid. I could have. I was like, okay, a plane fight, all right, but like you're using government funding to take a giant war mech on like a driving spree to kill like the richest man in Remnant's daughter because she like hijacked a plane to go back home.
With your enemy.
Yes.
But
But
it's like it's
still.
an old lady. Like she's not really an enemy. What wasn't their whole beef because she like ate cashews in a plane?
She brought cashews on a plane and she was not supposed to because it's like one of those weird like it's a joke and commentary on like how you can't bring like certain items onto a plane without it being considered contraband.
Yeah,
So it was,
but using a government funding and like a war mech to just like I don't know, like a plane fight would be realistic. But like, all right, this lady's clearly senile. She needs to be fired or like asked to be like, could you like we like you. You've done a lot of service. Just we need you to like basically retire so like so it doesn't look like we're firing you or something. I don't know, like.
If you're not gonna fire her or force her to retire, then just demote her to a desk job so she can't cause any more damage.
something, but like Jesus
That's
Christ.
that's like if a kid started throwing eggs and teasing like a military base, and then they just took out a tank at them.
Pretty much.
Basically,
It's like-
what happened.
It's like that lady is clearly delusional. Like the mic was cool, but like it's just like this is kind of dumb. Like it's cool, but like why are we doing this? We just needed like needed a finale fight. And then she ended up causing the Grim to show up because everyone in the city is like, we have a mech.
Yeah, and then all
There's
the
a giant, angry, screaming old lady screaming about shit in a mech.
and then the seismic waves of the mech doing all this shit was actually putting all the citizens at unease as well. So it's,
Fire the woman.
but yeah, so it's like he was causing so much problems to draw more Grimnir. And then I guess since Dakota brought it up, this is a segue into the Leviathan Grim. It Gojira! It's well due to international copyright parody, it is not. Still, we should run like it's Godzilla! Though it is not.
Ah!
Ah!
Exactly.
You know, that scene's really funny when you notice Pikachu's in the background.
Are you shitting me? Really?
Yeah, there's like people in mascot suits dressed up as Pokemon, yet they can't get Godzilla.
Oh, you're right. I remember now.
What's funny is that the actor who is in the front, I recognize him as from Chicago Med. Like, now I can't see you with anything other than Dr. Choi from Chicago Med. God damn it.
And the guy that was right next to him, if I remember correctly, like let me
From Heroes?
is Hero from Heroes.
Yeah, I recognize him. Yatta!
Yatta!
Didn't they purposely mistranslate that word in Heroes? The subtitle says it's like I did it, but like isn't it like yatta means something else? But they just used yatta because it sounded catchier.
No. That's what it means basically. That's basically the
Okay.
generalization of like what it's used for. Is like I did it.
I feel like I heard somewhere that like yatta doesn't mean that; it means something else. But they thought like that sounds catchy, so we'll just pretend it means I did it.
Are you referring to like Yamate? Because Yamate.
I don't know. No, I heard something about that with Heroes. I'm probably wrong. It's been so long.
Who knows?
Honestly, I have no idea where I would have heard that. So like, I'm probably making that up. I have no maybe it was like a TV show or something, like a news, like Hollywood news show. I don't remember.
Alright.
Whatever. Save the cheerleaders, save the world.
So before we get into something that's probably gonna cause a big fucking argument between us and chat,
Oh dear.
what did you guys think of the Leviathan Grim in terms of design and concept? Because clearly you can tell it's clearly inspired by Godzilla to a degree, to like the overall appearance, to like the atomic breath and everything.
Mhm.
So like, what do you guys think of the Leviathan Grim?
I usually don't have strong feelings about the Grim because like they're just gonna die.
Oh, like not even like design wise, like you know like oh yeah.
His
that's neat.
design was kind of meh.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Just big Grim. Okay.
Okay.
To me, I think his design was kind of half-assed because
Yeah, I can see that.
there's the way I see it is that if you're supposed to be the special Grim, you gotta have more like cool designs to you, and this is a big issue I have with a lot of like Grim that don't go all out with their designs. There's so much empty black space on their skin that you could have
Yeah.
fit some kind of other design to make it look unique.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And also, I know this isn't like supposed to be like realistic because Leviathans aren't meant to be Godzilla. It's supposed to be like sea snakes,
Yeah.
but still, you could have done something more Leviathan-like, like make it so its neck is longer, or like its tail could stretch out to be used as like a whip or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
I think
Have like
Methuselah.
Cthulhu.
Oh yeah, Cthulhu maybe, or Methuselah from the latest Godzilla King Kong movie. Would probably have been like a good design choice as well.
Yeah,
Or like,
but other than that, they can't really do much. Because again, this is like volumes ago, so
Yeah, it just seemed like
Pretty good with
Godzilla with like dolphin features.
pretty
basically,
much.
yeah. So,
Maybe a little dinosaur. I don't know.
Very prehistoric.
Hmm.
so then because of the big size and girth of this big boy, Ruby feels like the only way to stop the Leviathan Grim is with her Silver Eye powers. Where even Maria herself is like, "Hey, I told you that we're going to be, like, it's trial by fire, but like this is like I was talking about like a campfire, not like the burning of the, oh fuck, what's that library's name again? The not the Library of Alexandria." And then yeah, that's basically what happened. So basically, Ruby went in for the kill while the rest of her friends and team posed a distraction for the Grim. The one thing Ruby forgot is that the Grim are also attracted to the relic, and so you have like little flickers to distract the Grim, and then you have literally the beacon that draws Grim near. So
You
it's
got a bucket of chum.
basically your Ruby is basically shark bait.
Ooh, aha.
Ooh, ah. And
Jeez.
she takes the lessons of what Maria told her of how to utilize her silver eyes, and she has to have a second try because she runs out of time with the first attempt and uses the Jin to help stop time to give her a little bit more practice to make sure she gets it right the first time. And it's a beautiful moment. Like, you see all of her good memories or bad memories and the things that she wants to keep and hold dear and hope to preserve their life for. And then you got the beautiful moment where Summer Rose looks to the camera and in some interesting flashback motion, considering that by the time Summer went missing, quote unquote, or dead, quote unquote, she was not part of Ruby's life to be able or long enough to be
Memory.
a lasting
Mhm.
memory like that. So that, and that also plays into a lot of fan theories that this could be a possible future as well that Ruby is envisioning for herself. That, and because her eyes are connected to the God of Light, that could help, be some sort of like precognition that she's seeing, maybe. Who knows? And then finally, she nukes the motherfucker. And
It doesn't work.
it didn't work. It did not fucking work. And I'm not asking for maybe how young Maria vaporized that one Nevermore. I'm more like hoping that it would have repeated the same process of that giant wyvern being frozen in
Turns to
place,
stone.
turned to stone or frozen in place, and and then we get a Gurren Lagann moment. I would probably been happy with that. I probably would have, in all consideration. But no, we got like, I'm gonna pull out my trump card right now. I've been building up to this moment the entire season since we hinted at this since Volume 3. 3 fucking seasons we've been waiting for a dub for RWBY. And the writer's like, nah. Yeah, you're gonna take an L on this one, bro. And then we get Gurren Lagann moment, giant drill time, and then we then we get an old lady pegging a Leviathan, basically. Have fun with that image in your head.
Lovely.
But seriously, beautiful build up, beautiful setup. Just no end result that is favorable, that is comparable to such a build up.
With no genuine payoff that feels worthwhile, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. There was just no payoff there. It's like, you built this up the entire season, or you hinted at this all the way back in Volume 3. You slightly brought it up again in Volume 5, and then you are finally reestablishing and diving more into the Silver Eye Warrior lore. And then when you finally had the perfect build-up, especially with all those powerful memories fueling RWBY for that big Kamehameha, you instead is like, cool, it looks like it worked. Psych.
Oh no, Psych, you just made it skin crusty.
You made the Leviathan Grimm need to get lotion, basically. Yes. And like, okay, so maybe it was her first time, technically. Her first time doing this without it triggering on accident. Okay, maybe, how about you just freeze it in place again? Then you have your Gurren Lagann moment. You have your cake, and you can eat it too! No. Rooster Teeth said fuck no to character development for RWBY.
I mean, they still did the thing and they defeated the monster, so they did help.
I guess, but
Like, if they didn't do that, like, the monster would be running around, they couldn't get to it.
I mean, yes, that's true. Without the giant robot drilling the thing's blowhole, Argus would have been destroyed. RWBY and team would not have been able to go to Atlas. And then, first of all, we never would have this situation in the first place if Cordova used that fucking mech to hunt down fucking teenagers. The one weapon to deal with these giant Grimm, and they decided to go after fucking teenagers.
Prove a point.
Oh my god. And did you see, like, where I said, like, the writing for RWBY, like, goes down from here? Way back when I told you, like, back in Volume 3, I think it was, where I was like, it makes no sense.
I just think this is like, this season, there's like, what if old ladies were cool? That's so funny.
I think that goes into Phoenix's theory that somebody on the team might have had a fetish or something for this.
I don't know if it's like a fetish. It's just these like, all right, what if like we had like this old lady who's like secretly really badass, but she has a rival who's also an old lady really badass, but she's so funny and quirky that she brings out an entire mech and fights them because that's kind of silly. I honestly think they said like, okay, we need an ending fight, and also this would be really funny. Like, they just thought that the general lady was a funny character. Like, let's have her like go nuts in a mech.
Like, Maria is funny, Cordova is funny, and when they interact, I should say. So, and it's a good, like, comedic duo kind of thing, like, comedic chemistry with them, but it's like, you need a mech, bro? Who licensed it? Who authorized this? And again, what if she got killed twice? What if she did that? How do you explain that to the general who is getting all of his supplies and financial backing from the now dead girl's father? Again, explain that in your longly written report.
And like, if you're like, if anything, she should, if like, okay, if she just used the mech and focused on the plane, then maybe it'd be fine because it's just like, all right, fire missiles a couple times, we got them. Because the plane did crash. That could have been like, okay, there, I made my point. Fuck off. But like, why is she shooting? Like, I guess they're shooting back at her, but like she's, I don't know, shoot the plane down, leave.
Shoot the plane down, leave, and she had shields too. So they're like, so that one pop off shot from RWBY was like the one freebie that Cordova kind of like, underestimated of giving RWBY in the first place. Because Jesus Christ, I'm just thinking like how powerful that fucking high impact sniper rifle is, considering that she uses it to propel herself in battle, and on top of that, it can literally shake and wiggle an entire fucking mech.
Well,
Like, I'm pretty sure if that hit like a normal human being, they'd be missed. But then yes, Gurren Lagann moment. Grim is killed. Argus is saved. Cordova finally turns a blind eye and says, "Oh, we lost a lot of ships today, so I guess it won't be unusual for another ship to go missing after all this Grim attack." So like, I'm not gonna say it's not as bad as the God of Light not reviving Ozma the first fucking time, but we could have avoided this. So like, this could have been avoided.
Like, I just kind of just like it's not his obligation. Yeah, it's not his obligation to grant wishes. That's not what gods do. God's like, okay, I created you, and you have free will to do whatever you want, but like, peace out. And that's pretty much all gods do. Like he's like, no, I'm not bringing back someone to life. I don't grant fucking wishes.
Yeah,
like,
but
the dark guy is kind of like, all right, the devil would grant a wish for your soul, but like, he's like, there's no reason for him to do it. Yes, it did cause a domino effect of really bad things where they had to bring Ozpin back.
yeah, and that's
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't even know. They just forgot that was her love interest. I just like, okay, we need a good guy to resurrect. Let's resurrect this guy.
No, they still know it's her, because even Ozma was like, well, if I don't want to go back to the world of the living if my Salem isn't with me, so I'll just stay in the afterlife and go looking for her. And then the god was like, yeah, about that. And so he does admit that the God of Light still knows about Salem and what she has become since then. And on top of that, yeah, I'm gonna revive you. But I'm not gonna mention the fact that your wife tried reviving you through me before, but I'm gonna revive you at my own convenience.
He could have like warned him, like, don't go. Well, he did kind of like, she's not the same, so don't go talk to her. But he went and talked to her anyway.
Yeah.
Or just like didn't think it through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like these gods just, I don't know, these gods are kind of like, they seem to think pretty human-like, where they just make mistakes.
They're lazy. They're inconsiderate. Yeah. They're assholes. And this, one of these days, I'm gonna have to go down like the Final Fantasy rabbit hole with you, Dakota, or at least with Final Fantasy 16, so I can like draw parallels between the deities of Final Fantasy 16. Or I'm sorry, not 16. Well, maybe 16. I haven't played that game yet, but I'm going to assume the gods there are lazy as fuck. But 15, Final Fantasy 15, the deities or I should say, the main head honcho deity is an asshole, and he's just as lazy and inconsiderate and just manipulative as the RWBY gods as well. And it's so badly written for the Final Fantasy 15 gods that the creator of that installment of Final Fantasy, and I think one of the writers as well, literally made DLC to try and compensate for like the lack of missing elements and plot holes in writing details in Final Fantasy 15 that seemed vacant from the main game. And so, but I think the creator or main writer got let go from Square Enix before he could do the final DLC. And so what he did was he made a book. And the book quite literally says how the Olm Pantheon betrayed that one lazy asshole deity because of like, they did not like how he was handling things to handle all this Star Scourge demon epidemic that literally any of the gods could have handled with just a flick of the wrist. look at the wrist. And so it just I just hate how like poorly written, or like not poorly written, or like how poorly, oh yeah, poorly written and lazy deities can be depicted like this. And
I think it's just kind of just that this is like a writing obstacle you just come to when you write gods. Because like, all right, you have a reality bending being who created everything, but like they're not gonna grant wishes for you. That's not what, they don't have the obligation to grant wishes for you. They just like, I made you exist. That's all you get.
well, that depends
Like,
on what
worship
pantheon
me.
or like what religion you're looking at, because they're like Greek mythology, for example.
Yeah, I know that.
You can
Just like the
earn
two
favors
types.
with deities if you could, like, support your fellow deity, which is why you have like an entire city named after Athena, and make sacrifices and whatnot.
Hmm.
So like, hey, I'll give you my left pinky toe if you bring my husband back, or maybe you can have my firstborn child, because apparently they didn't mind having multiple kids when they got back together, possibly millions of years later.
Hmm. Yeah, like, but I just I could see where the god was coming from. Was like, bruh, one, you can't bring someone back from the dead. Yeah, I could, but you can't do that. And two is like, I have no obligation to help you. Please, politely, please leave. He just didn't realize she's an evil bitch.
Ads about to
It's
start,
like,
chat.
I'm not going to turn good and learn your lesson. I reject your lesson of it by gifting me immortality.
Yeah, Bahamut. That's the name of the lazy deity god in Final Fantasy 15. Anyways, the book ending was so much better than the game. Surprised Salem even had eggs left. Well, she was made immortal in the prime of her youth. So
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that her kids didn't come out looking like her, if that makes sense, considering that her
Yeah, like-
entire biology kind of got fucked up with the God of Darkness pool.
Yeah.
Maybe Ozpin gave birth to him.
Is
That's
Ozpin a
first thought.
seahorse confirmed?
Possibly it's magic.
This is true. This is fairly true.
Magic babies.
Magic baby. And so, we're in the middle of an ad break right now, so in a couple minutes, keep talking about what happens towards the end
Eggs
of.
can regenerate. They're immortal.
So at the end, so we'll talk about real quick after the ad break ends, and then I think we might go. That might be it, because after that I'm going in blind mostly. Going into Volume 7.
Mhm.
All right.
Oh, this is when you
with a
stop.
limited amount of eggs, though. Well, here's the thing, though, is that Salem doesn't age, though. So when
This is true.
And she regenerates because she stabbed herself. She's not like walking around with like holes in her body.
yeah, and like when her fight with Ozma happened, she quite literally was nothing. She quite literally regenerated from like nothingness. So technically, she's like at a state of constant reset. That would probably wait. It wouldn't make sense, because it's the man who the man's sperm who decides what gender comes out as. So I was gonna say, well, like 4 kids, 4 daughters. I'm like, man, you got, unless you wanted only daughters, good for you. But like, if you want a son, like you're screwed, I guess.
It somehow that reminds me of a lot of gender reveal parties where the father has 5 daughters, and when he wants a son, another daughter pops is like, "Son of a bitch! Must my Y chromosome be so weak?"
Exactly. You know what? Would that Ozma, that of the body that he, no, it wouldn't make any sense because the daughter side. Because I was gonna say that, would have Ozma or any of his incarnations been an ancestor to Jean? Because Jean is the only boy born out of a dozen kids who were girls. So would that have huh?
I mean,
That'll be an
it'd
interesting
be,
connection.
it'd be an interesting twist, but at the same time, what reason would they have to make John related to Ozma?
Hmm. I guess nothing in particular to make it justifiable, I suppose.
Hmm, it's hard to say, honestly.
It'd be like,
Yeah.
Oscar's my friend, but also my great 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 grandfather.
That'd be hilarious. I love like interactions like that, like in Futurama, where
Mhm.
Fry is the professor's great great uncle, even though the professor is in his hundreds and Fry is in his like 30s.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um.
there's a lot of things for around that make no sense.
Mhm.
Anyway,
So what else? So now, after I think the ad break is over. Um. So now, everyone has made it to Atlas, and now we're going to be going into the Atlas arc come Volume 7, and with Volume 7, we're gonna get character redesigns. Dakota, you excited?
I don't know. Maybe
I
they looked really nice this season. I was kind of like impressed how pretty this season looked.
think you might like a couple of them.
Like, who's getting redesigned?
Everyone. Well, all the
Everyone.
basically everyone.
Okay.
So it's basically
Kinda
like
weird.
yeah, it's basically like how volumes 1 through 3 kept like the same like basic designs, but
We only
then
kept in when we got to like 1 or 2 episodes, but yeah.
yeah, well
Like-
that was like a night outfit if you think about it. But then they go into volume 4 with like whole new designs and everything, and so they're gonna do that again with volumes 7, 8, and 9.
Interesting. I thought this season looked really pretty. Like, it looked the most polished out of all of them so far.
And the polish will continue
Mhm.
into volumes 7 through 9. Although 9 will be a bit of a different ball game. Just
What, did they lose budget around at 9?
Nah,
Not-
well,
not polish, more style of art.
yeah, they
Okay.
went with more style than substance going into Volume 9, from what I understand, and what some of the clips I've watched have been as well.
Yeah, I'm
I
not gonna
don't-
go into detail, but just know this: your eyes are gonna be blinded by pastel colors for most of it.
No.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a, how do I explain this without outright spoiling it?
Psychedelic look.
I was gonna say more of an Alice in Wonderland vibe.
Mm.
That would have been more spoilerish. Ah, my back.
Who knows? It might be more like what's another psychedelic vibe comparable to how crazy the Alice in Wonderland movies were. I would
Let's
say
do-
not Brazil. That's a little too dark, but it's still very psychedelic as well.
I was gonna say Peter Pan, but it's only the traveling to Neverland that's really psychedelic.
The Willy Wonka ride.
The one that's only in the Gene Wilder version, sure.
Sure.
The scary tunnel. You ever see that like YouTube video?
Las
is,
Vegas
like, how
when
it
you're
should have ended-
drunk.
But how it should have ended video where it's like the parents are like, play like, why did you build a scary tunnel? This is so stupid. You traumatize our kids. We're leaving. And Wonka's like, why did I? Who did come up with the scary tunnel? And we get a flashback of him like fat, full of chocolate and drunk with his Oompa Loompas. Like, what if we built a scary tunnel? We chop up chicken heads and there's like scary shit. You guys got any Oompa Loompas? I like them. I like the Oompa Loompas.
The blip in the background. This is why we're not paid enough.
So yes, the gang made it to Atlas, and all of the forces are already expecting shit to happen, like an assault already going to be made onto them. So they're pretty much getting ready for a fight, which Team RWBY and everyone else is not understanding how or why. Which I'm going to assume is because of Salem at the end credit scene, where Salem is morphing a Barangle into having wings and
They're
probably
flying monkeys.
yes, exactly. You already got the allegory right there. They're the flying
Yeah, she's the
monkeys
Wicked
from
Witch.
yeah, she's the Wicked Witch, and I think
Fly.
I think
Ding dong, the
she
witch is dead. The Wicked Witch, that mean old bitch.
I think she heard about the 100 humans versus one gorilla joke and took that seriously.
Oh.
Now I'll just do like the 100 men versus one gorilla when the gorilla suddenly has spawns wings. They can fly now. They fly now.
Which means they can do super slam moves.
Super slam. Oh, it's gonna look like fucking Donkey Kong.
But Bungo doing his down B, only he jumps there so often just slams harder.
Salem's like legit, like it is on like Donkey Kong.
Nintendo smashes through the dimensional portals. Cease and desist. You can't say that.
Dear God, my one weakness.
Why is this one Baranko got a weird Seth Rogen laugh?
Jesus.
Weed.
Oh my god. I'm still laughing at the fact they got the Seth Rogen of all people to play Donkey Kong.
Yeah. He's probably getting a spin-off movie. I'm pretty sure they're working on that.
Oh god.
If they do, they either have to base off Donkey Kong Country, or if they make it up, they base off Donkey Kong 64, they have to have someone voice Chunky. If there's no Chunky, I'm writing.
There's Chunky. He's dead.
Alright, so now I'm just gonna be reading the development of Volume 6 right now. Because we jumped straight into Volume 6, virtually semi-blind because of the main factor is that I was not able to get a DVD copy of Volume 6 because recently Rooster Teeth announced that they are republishing RWBY DVDs in special Blu-ray format. So like the new Blu-ray for RWBY Volume 1's gonna have like a special like art card in it and some like other additional features that weren't there before, allegedly, because when I looked up the description it literally just said the exact same thing my copy of Volume 1 said. But that's just me. So I'm kind of curious of what the art cards are gonna entail. And because of this, availability and price points for other RWBY DVDs and media are skyrocketing to the point where it's like $222 for a Blu-ray copy of Volume 6 or a regular Blu-ray copy of Volume 6. Let me double check just to make sure I'm on point because I remember that it was too pricey to be worth it. RWBY Volume 6, or it wasn't available at all because they were already sold out after the announcement was made.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I feel like you sent me an image and the image said it was like 20 and I'm like, that's not too bad.
Yeah, so there's no Blu-ray. The regular DVD is $26. But if I wanted to pre-order the new Blu-ray copy, it would be about the same price. So might as well just wait for that then.
Yeah. Do we know if the Blu-ray, the re-releases are going to have the special features? I know like a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays now don't add those anymore, even if the original printings did have them.
The Volume 1 Blu-ray re-release did say it had those features, so I'm going to assume it will. I know because Volume 4 didn't have much for detail or much behind-the-scenes stuff that the first 3 volumes had. And even Volume 5 even had a lot of fucking special behind-the-scenes features. So I don't know if it was because they didn't put in so much effort into the behind-the-scenes for Volume 4 that they just compensated for it for Volume 5. So, anyways. Going to the development for Volume 6. The first concept and writing meeting for Volume 6 began a week after Volume 5 finale had aired. So that was quite literally a year worth of development. So they basically, from this, my understanding with this, is that they have about 6 months to storyboard and write to 6 months of animation. That's very crunchy, if you ask me, just by the sound of that. Voice acting recording sessions for key characters began in late May 2018. Oh, yeah, crunchy, like I said, because Volume 6 came out in October of 2018. So, yeah. Yeah. During development, several people were added or promoted to key positions, including Connor Pickens, who replaced Miles Luna, and Gray G. Haddock as co-director. Oh, no, 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 no. One person one person replaced two veterans of RWBY. And Gray Haddock, if I remember correctly, he's the one guy that was always passionate. Yep. He was the one guy that was always passionate working on RWBY as a director. And it was this guy too, if you guys remember him from any of the behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I know him, yeah.
Yeah. Him and Miles Luna, one of the co-creators and writers of RWBY, was replaced in the directing position by Connor Pickens. So that's not a good sign, chat. I'm just letting you know right now. That is not a good sign. One person replaced two people. Not just two people, two veterans. And not just two veterans, at least one of them was a co-creator of the show. Yeah, someone higher up in the corporate ladder dropped the ball there, I think.
No, most certainly.
In an interview at RTX London 2018, Gray Haddock said matte painting backgrounds, a 2D asset used often in the production of Rooster Teeth's mecha show Genlock, would be implemented in Volume 6 in a more interactive way. On January 17, 2018, it was announced that RWBY Volume 6 would premiere in the fall. On August 3rd, 2018, it was confirmed at RTX Austin that Volume 6 will premiere on October 27th, 2018. That same day, as in progress version of the Volume 6 Adam character short was also shown to attendees, which was later made available to the public on the 17th of August. It was also announced that Volume 6 would only air initially on Rooster Teeth's site because many of the videos, including most of RWBY episodes that were uploaded to their main channel on YouTube, were demonetized for various reasons. What? I need a Carfax on that. That sounds weird. Why would you get demonetized for your own show?
I think I heard about that. Was it because did Warner Brothers do that?
I want to make any sense that they did, but
Like, I feel like I remember hearing something about like a studio buying the rights to something and then demonetizing the YouTube channel. It's like, you own it.
yeah,
It might be, maybe it's just like their bots that just kind of just automatically flag stuff, but that's weird.
that is really weird. And it continues. However, beginning on October 12th, 2019, Volume 6 would air weekly on the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel for animation. Site is by Matt Hullum's Journal. Additionally, the first members would be able to watch the show for an entire week before it was released to the public. The public would watch new episodes on Saturday, a week after the episode went live on for first members on the official Rooster Teeth website. One of the things Miles Luna and Carrie Chartreuse wanted to improve upon this volume was the balance between the newer high-stakes plot points and the goofier and sillier moments in the older volumes.
But you didn't balance that very well, now, did you?
No, because they quite literally had a life or death situation with a manipulative stalker craves PTSD-inducing faunus to mech fight.
Yep.
While the volume was originally planned to have 14 episodes, ooh, that's interesting.
Why?
Like the previous volume did, the volume ended up only having 13 due to the staff believing that the final episode would work better at the beginning of the next volume, with the planned version being expanded upon in the final release.
Okay, alright, sure.
The scene involving the villains during the episode "So That's How It Is" originally took place before The Lost Fable, in an earlier version of the script, but was moved after thinking about the different way people would be looking at Salem after the episode. Regarding Miles, Luna created a talk and came up with the idea of the fight between Maria and Tak only being 60 seconds long due to them having a restriction of how long fight scenes could be. What? Why would you have restrictions of how long fight scenes would be?
I agree.
Budget,
That makes no
maybe?
fucking sense.
Maybe it's like a budget thing because this fight scenes probably take longer to animate. So they're like, all right, let's just like have each fight be 60 seconds, especially since it's like what the show's like 50 minutes long each episode.
About, give or take.
I guess.
15, 20 minutes, give or take.
Mhm.
At the same time, that's what RWBY's known for mostly, is the fight choreography, the action and everything, and the music.
Exactly.
And it's what Monty Ohm was put on the map for, was because of his fight choreography and animations for fight choreography. So it's
Mhm.
that does not sound like a Monty thing. The Elysian airships shown near the end of Our Way were ported over from Poser Pro and updated for Autodesk Maya. Okay. So it's basically the airships that we saw in Volume 3, but updated for Maya. Interesting. Volume... Yep, and then going into the trivia real quick. Volume 6 reuses many past concepts from previous volumes. Maria Calavera was originally planned to debut in Volume 5, where she would have guided RWBY's training. Wait, what? Planned to debut in Volume 5. Huh, interesting.
Alright then. Weird, but you do you, I
You
guess.
just wanted to speed run her like Silver Eyes.
I
So we
suppose.
can't wait till
That just pushes the fact that they're trying to rush things out.
Yeah. The Apathy Grimm were planned before the release of Volume 1, and were initially considered to appear in Volume 4 before being replaced by the Nuckleaf. That's interesting.
Alright, well, I'll give them this. I think the Knuckly was a better final boss for Volume 4, while the Suppression Grim were just better for the one they had it. Because it seemed like a better environment for them.
Blue Lady says, I heard that wrong and instead I heard diarrhea training. Diarrhea training, let's fucking go. Got it. Oh, you gotta speedrun this burrito, RWBY.
Unrelated, before I forget, when Cinder was going on their plane with Nepal Ted, she's like, someone once told me, do you believe in destiny? I was just literally like, you take those words out of your fucking mouth.
Keep my those words out your fucking mouth.
I kind of like mouthed her like, how dare you fucking bitch.
For real. You're getting into it. You're deep in the sauce now, Dakota.
I was
And
like,
you can't get out
you
now.
can't say that. Poor Pyrrha.
The plotline involving Caroline Cordovan and the Colossus was initially created as the climax of Volume 2. Okay. Before being replaced with the mission to Mountain Glen. As the writers realized it wouldn't have been feasible at the time. That I can kind of buy, since Poser had only so much utilization and CPU power, which is why a lot of times it was just, human fighting monsters, basically, for the longest time. Parts of Blake and Yang versus Adam were originally animated for Volume 3, and were remade in Maya Engine for the fight. Okay. I feel like they should have kept that in Volume 3. Gone with, like, the initial idea of, Blake getting stabbed, and then Yang losing her arm, and then just, reintroduce that same concept. Similar to, you're gonna understand what I mean by this, probably, and Phoenix, I hope you do as well. Similar to how, Darth Maul finds, old Ben Kenobi, and they have their final duel to the death, and then Obi-Wan does his, like, trademark, like, holding up the peace sign while he has his lightsaber over his head, fight pose, but he changes.
I love that pose.
But he changes his stance to Qui-Gon's stance from Phantom Menace, And so when Darth Maul goes in, he tries doing the same stuff he did before that got him to kill Qui-Gon, but Obi-Wan learned from that and managed to kill Darth Maul using his old master's techniques, which I love that
He used the stance to bait him.
basically, and
Exactly.
which is why I love that it was so poetic for both Obi-Wan to kill Darth Maul, and not just that, to kill him with his master's own trick.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they did something similar to that to that vein with porting that fight in volume 3 still, and then bring it over to Maya in volume 6 and then continuing it, but learning from their mistakes, I would have loved that. I would have been awesome. Hey, and I'm going down the comment section for this article, and guess who's back, people? Blue Cheese.
Blue Cheese?
He was the guy I was reading comments from that because he was bringing up valid points of the criticisms of Volume 5, and I was using a good part of that to have like conversation pieces, more or less. Last week, I think it was last week. But yeah, let's see what he says this time. So on October 7th, 2021, I still don't see why people are mad at Ruby's distrust in Ozpin. He literally lied to them multiple times. They are putting their faith and trust in this man, and they aren't even allowed to know the whole truth. Imagine if they didn't find out about Salem. They wouldn't have walked blindly into their lair not knowing what was going on. How would you react if you were being led into a battle impossible to win? I'm not saying Ozpin is bad. I'm saying Ruby's feelings toward the whole situation are justified, especially Crow, who has been blindly following Oz for literal years, gave him a sense of purpose. If anyone should have had the right to be mad, it was him. That's a really big fair point. And in Ozma/Ozpin had various fair points of why he kept a lot of what he knew in the dark, but at the same time, when you know, as far as you know, are unable to do anything to harm or kill Salem, you're pretty much throwing meat in the grinder, basically. And you're
Question: if they get all the magical items and they can contact God, can't they just ask God, "Yo, could you kill Salem for us?"
You have to get them all together. That's the thing, is you have to gather all the Dragon Balls, basically.
Yeah, I know, but like that's they're kind of already going on that mission to grab everything, kinda. Like why not? Like why isn't that just the plan? Like, all right, they made her immortal. Let's just either she's gonna call them one of these days. Maybe it's 100 years. Maybe tomorrow. Why don't we call God first and like, hey, she's a big bean. Can you kill her?
See, that kind of goes back to what you said earlier, Dakota, about how the gods don't grant wishes, and so
yeah, I know, but it's like, yo, you kind of made a mistake. Fix your mistake, please. This is kind of on you.
Oh god, you have no idea how right you are with that. But at the same time, though, the only stipulation that the God of Light has for Ozma is that Ozma has to be tasked with trying to unify humanity to prove that humanity is worth not destroying. It's what's that one cartoon? It's like God, Satan, and I think it's Bill. I think it's called, where it's a adult cartoon about God and Satan, and God is tasking Bill to give God justification of why he should not destroy the Earth. And so the devil is quite literally trying to coax Bill into being a sinner, so God would have a reason to destroy Earth. And then God is basically, it's literally like the good angel and the bad angel on your shoulders, or the little demon on your shoulder, the angel on your shoulder, pretty much having like moral ambiguity with Bill deciding how to live his life, basically.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting sitcom because there's like even some instances where like the God and devil are getting along with one another, and it's like, and they're like, hey, you remember that great flood you did And it's like, yeah, you're like, that was awesome. And they're even like having like they're like golfing together too. All three of them are golfing together because like you literally have God, you have the devil, and you have the one Joe Schmo that's going to decide the fate of humanity. And in this instance, Ozma is that Joe Schmo.
Mm.
The thing is that he has to prove a point of humanity being worth saving. And honestly, if it wasn't for the fall of Beacon back in Volume 3, I think Osmond was just about to approach that pinnacle piece that he was looking for. To summon the gods and everything. Because he did have all the relics, technically. He did have all of them collected. It's just they were all housed in their respective academies.
Yeah.
And he was just waiting for the perfect opportunity to summon the gods.
You tell him, yo, look how cool everyone is. Don't blow us up, please.
Pretty much.
But what if what's stopping him from not calling the gods and just being happy? Because like, does he have to call them to like have him blow up the earth? Or do the gods say like, I'm gonna come in like a couple hundred years, be prepared?
What the God of Light says is that, hey, there's these relics, and we're gonna spread them across the world, and in the meantime, while that is happening, you are tasked with pretty much trying to prove humanity's worth. And when you feel the time is right, go ahead and collect these relics, summon me, and I will decide your judgment. That's basically what he said.
All right, so he has to call them up and like, look what I did. It's nice, isn't it?
Basically.
Okay. So he could just not call them and he'd be fine.
See, that's the thing. I think that's either what Ozma was going for with the peaceful route, or he was just like, yeah, humanity's too infallible to or too fallible. Humanity is too hormonal to be consistently peaceful. So he quite literally just went with keep it separated, nobody touch it, and we can all live happily as we are.
You know, it's kind of funny. He's like, okay, you gotta make sure everyone's at peace or whatever. And he gets teleported back to like the second age of man, like a whole new generation of humans, and they already have slavery. He's like, oh fuck.
He literally he dropped in like hard mode.
Yeah, he's like, all right, go make sure everyone's peaceful and at peace with each other, and like man's being good. He's like, you know what, that shouldn't be too hard. That should be good. He goes down. He's already like furry people like in cages. He's like, oh fuck.
Oh no.
Yeah, Earth is screwed.
Yeah. And it's probably why he kind of went on his little crusade back when he became the reincarnated as the King of Vale. All right.
Well, if he was a good king and made everything kind of peaceful, you could have called him up then.
So
Yeah.
possibly because around this time, this was where a war happened, and he kind of like said maybe we should all just like shut the fuck up and get along. Otherwise, since I'm like the one magical wizard in this entire world, like barely superpower people. How about you listen to me before I zap you to dust?
God damn it, Thomas, not again.
It's Charles. You know, you should play that game
Probably.
for the bit.
If you do that, you have to turn voice mode on.
A voice
It
mode?
has his proximity chat with the monster.
Oh,
Oh,
is
yeah.
this the Spider Train game?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe.
The monster could hear you.
Could probably do that for October for spoopy month.
And the moist mode basically turned the face of Choo Choo Charles into moist critical.
What?
Oh, nice.
Why Charlie?
You just
Choo Choo
explained-
Charles, Charlie.
You just answered your own question.
Okay. Blue Butterfly Lady says, what if Ozma pulled something similar to what Hercules and Record of Ragnarok said, points out the negatives and the good, and they naturally balance one another. The only thing that created imbalance is Salem, and that's because of the god of light making her immortal. Maybe. Well, here's the thing: is that I don't think Phoenix and Dakota has seen or read Record of Ragnarok, so they don't know the exact quote you're referring to.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
So Record of Ragnarok is kind of similar to what the God of Light said, where like, hey, I'm gonna destroy Earth if it's bad, okay? So Record of Ragnarok is about all pantheons of religion in one ensemble meeting, wanting to decide the fate of humanity. And they're all, most, if not all, are unanimous about offing humans. And so, all but one, and it's a Valkyrie named Brunhilde, and she wants to defy the gods because Valkyrie, especially her task, is to defend humanity, regardless of its blemishes or its downfalls or uprisings. Is that her task is to defend humans, her and her sisters. And so basically they Zeus, who's the head honcho of all these deities of this mixed pantheon soup, says, okay, I'll call you out. What are your terms then to decide, help this entertain us while we decide the fate of humanity, or help determine the fate of humanity? And she proposes a tournament called known as Ragnarok, where basically select gods and deities versus select historical figures, and they pretty much duke it out in one-on-one combat. Now, it sounds one-sided as fuck because it's deities, and you're right, but for one, they don't accurately portray deities as they are in their respective mythologies, and so they're more or less brutish sluggers, basically. More or less.
Right.
And humans, though still squishy and weak because humans, they're giving these special weapons called Volans that are specific Valkyries that merge their soul with their respective human, so they turn to the weapon of that human's choice. So, for example, I can't remember who it is, but there's this one Valkyrie who is a bookworm, and the second round of Ragnarok is quite literally Zeus versus, and you're gonna love this one. You wanna know who Zeus fights?
Oh, Batman.
Adam,
Ah.
as in Adam and Eve. And you wanna know what his Volan / special weapon is?
What?
Knuckle dusters.
Wow.
And it's a badass fight too. Like, it's so good, but the anime does it so dirty because the fight scenes in the manga are like so clean, whereas the animation is like so stiff. I mean, it's a still image. How do you make a still image look more fluid than a goddamn animation?
There's great difficulty and skill.
Something. God damn. And then Blue Light, like their description. And then so Hercules, who is named Hercules because they're actually using the proper Greek version and not the Roman version.
It's Heracles.
Hercules. And
There's Hercules and there's Heracles.
Hercules.
Heracles.
Hercules. But yes, so it's basically Hercules versus. You want to know who? So it's the greatest. So this, and they also go with. The author of Record of Ragnarok also uses some freedom of liberty here and there. So some of the backstory isn't as accurate to certain deities as they are to others in other media. So Hercules is that says Heracles he was once human, but he drank a potion that was like the blood of Zeus or something like that, and it made him a deity. And he was so potent and powerful that he quite literally threw hands evenly matched with the god of war himself. And so, but because he pretty much became divine in his own methods, he was adopted into the Greek pantheon and became a god that way. But he was once human, so he understands that there are, bad eggs and there's good eggs. And so even though he's against the destruction of humankind, he still joined in Ragnarok, but there's actually a reason for why he did. And do you want to know who he fought against?
Who?
Brunhild likes to choose specific opponents against specific deities, or specific humans against deities, because she believes that they're like the antithesis or counterpoint to that specific deity. So the greatest of humanity being Heracles, and also the greatest deity as well, in terms of like, he's the good guy you want to root for. She picked probably one of the worst humans in human history to go against him. That being Jack the Ripper.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And they go back and forth, and Jack the Ripper pretty much stabs Hercules, and Hercules had like one final move to kill Jack the Ripper, because he was like, "You're in my efficient range," and he instead throws the fight, because
You're by efficient range, steps backwards like one step. Like, oh no, my weakness.
basically. And so towards the end of the fight, it's revealed that Hercules joined the tournament so he could throw his match, more or less, because he loves humanity so much. Because he didn't want to be a helping hand in humanity's destruction. And at this point, I think it was the first round was Thor versus Lubu. And personally, to me, that was a one-sided fight. Jesus Christ, it was like so fucking one-sided. It's not even funny. Like Lubu got like one cut in on Thor, and then Thor literally broke his fucking ankles, disintegrated his arms, and then literally played golf with his head off his shoulders. It was that one-sided.
Damn.
It was one-sided. And then second round, Zeus versus Adam. Great fight, like I said before. I hate how it ended, because, spoiler alert, Zeus wins. But in the worst way, worst way possible, because
Man versus lightning, who wins? Oh, I don't know.
so here's the funny thing is that these aren't like the traditional historical figures like I mentioned, because they, aside for Lubu, well, I guess Lubu has super strength, but like not that much. He has super strength, okay? Adam was gifted with the ability to copy powers with his eyes, and techniques, and so for whatever fast punch Zeus threw at Adam, he quite literally was fast enough to maneuver it, and then send that same punch back tenfold. So he can copy your ability and improve upon it. Now,
That's random.
kinda, yeah, but for the sake of story,
Couldn't they have made his power like regeneration, since like God ripped his rib out and made Eve?
I'm not quite sure. And then at the same time, it makes no sense why he has a Voland either, because in his backstory, it was also shown that he killed the Snake of Eden as well. So again, like it made no sense. Anyway,
So men shouldn't exist.
technically. But then after that, no, well, men exist because Eve and Adam were cast out of heaven, or
Yeah, but
the garden.
if there's no snake, then she didn't eat the apple, so they never left.
I'm not quite. I don't remember the exact backstory to that.
Unless it's revenge, like after the fact.
Like I said before, the creator of Record Ragnarok took a lot of liberties with it when it came to mythology, backstories, and everything. So there are like going to be those noticeable inconsistencies there.
Hmm.
Right.
And so then after that, it was by this point the gods were winning 2-0, and so the third fight was Poseidon versus history's greatest loser, Sasaki Kojiro. And what's interesting is that so this is kind of like one of those series that exist where the heavens exist outside the concept of space and time. So whenever Brunhild is like plucking humans from history, she's plucking them at their peak, at their pinnacle in life, right? Kojiro in history died young. Let's say in his 30s, for example. But when Brunhild summoned him out of history, he was 50-something years old. And she didn't even understand it until she realized that in death, he was consistently training and improving his technique to the point that he reached his pinnacle in death. So, and it's a really good fight as well. I love that fight as well. And this was actually the first dub humanity got on the gods. So it was quite literally round 1 gods, round 2 gods, round 3 the biggest loser in history beats probably like the second most powerful deity in the Greek pantheon. So it was a really good underdog story there. And then after that, round 4 was Hercules versus Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper won, and I forgot what match 5 was. Oh, now I remember. It was Shiva, the god of destruction, versus Raiden. I can't remember his last name, but he's not the Raiden as in the Japanese deity of the same name. He's Raiden as in the popular... That's Raiden. That's different.
Oh.
That's semi-different, but it's... Okay. But Raiden as in the famous historical sumo wrestler. And basically his superpower... Basically, all the historical figures got like some kind of superpower for some reason. Kojiro was actually interesting because his superpower is like calculation predictions, and it's an interesting way how it's depicted too, because it's like a line graph, and so he witnesses how skilled and powerful you are, and what your technique is, and so it allows him to calculate what your next probable move is, and allow him to counteract it appropriately. But with Raiden, he's similar to Lubu, where he's just super strong, but he was born with Superman syndrome, where he's a lot more physically strong than what he should be. So like his 5-year-old self could probably like KO a fully grown adult, for example. And his muscle growth was so abnormally large at a young age that his body could not physically manage his own strength. So like imagine like having a cramp from not stretching, but you went for a jog anyways. Now imagine that cramp everywhere on your body. That's basically how his muscle growth is depicted. And how much he suffered for the longest time in his childhood, until he finally grew into his body more or less, but he couldn't use his full strength, and ended up becoming a sumo wrestler to help fund for his family. But because he is paired with a weapon that physically allows him to enter the realm of gods, more or less, he does not have that same physical restriction anymore, and so he can like quite literally use his muscles as a weapon. And quite literally, it starts off with Raiden grabbing one of Shiva's forearms and just yanking, and basically rips his arm off. So, but basically, yeah, that's basically Record Ragnarok. You have historical humans paired with weapons that boost them to be able to fight gods, and it's very epic right now. And
So 100 men versus one gorilla. Got it.
I you know, not in essence, but I guess that's in that same vein, I suppose. I'll butcher his name regardless of how it's spelled. She's referring to you, Phoenix, for the pronunciation of Heracles. But it's not really Jack the Ripper. Spoiler alert, it's one of those things where because Jack the Ripper was such an unknown killer in life that we really don't know who it is. So in Record of Ragnarok, though, the backstory of this Jack the Ripper is that he is a serial killer in his own right who hunts down serial killers, if that makes sense.
So Dexter.
Yes, he's
I was,
Dexter.
I was gonna say a vigilante serial killer. Interesting.
Yep, and he ends up killing Jack the Ripper and just adopts his moniker and name.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
Eh.
a story, Demby.
Yeah, I rebelled on there because it's a really good series. The only downside to it is that it's got great art. And the thing is, it takes a long time for new chapters to come out with that great art. Because each chapter is hard to draw, and right now it's like, I want to say nearing or is just getting into like the 100 chapter mark era or of that grain.
I'm sorry, 100 chapters.
Yeah, because it's a manga.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a manga. And 100, like a little over 100 chapters, I think. And this series came out in, I want to say around 2016 or 2015.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's been going on for over or close to a decade now. And we're just towards the end of the 10-man tournament.
Gorilla.
Jeez, like, and what is the current fight right now? Because they just did Soji Okita versus Susanoo, who is the god of blades, I think. So they had the god of blades versus the demon of the Edo period.
Nice.
Oh, it's Loki versus the White Death.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so you know who Simo is, right?
Vaguely, yes.
So Simo was a marksman during the World War II, I believe, where he was a single man with 500 confirmed kills.
Nice.
And he did that with just a hunting rifle that he brought from home. No scope.
Sick.
No scope. Literally no scope.
Wow.
Yeah, so he is a very, very good shot, and right now he's fighting the God of Mischief.
That should be an interesting matchup.
Right now it is, but it kind of makes no sense for a little bit of the setup. Because right now his Voland is a rifle that replicates the same rifle he had in IRL. But the ammunition is not divine. So basically, with how the gods in Record of Ragnarok work is that if it's not a divine weapon or magical weapon, a gun, regular bullet's just gonna bounce off of a deity, regardless of like how significant or insignificant that deity is. So that's why the humans are using Volans. Because that's a way to harm deities, is because they're divine magical weapons. However, his rifle, Simo's rifle, is a Voland, but his ammunition is not. So he's siphoning parts of his life force and organs to convert his ammo to become divine weapons to be able to hurt Loki.
Right. Okay.
There's a slight issue with that. Because Jack the Ripper's Voland was his gloves, and his gloves had the ability to turn anything he touched into divine weapons. So he can quite literally take a sewer cap, chuck it like a disc, and Hercules lost an arm because he thought it was just going to be a regular sewer cap, and it just ends up going through his arm like butter because it's a divine. He turned it into a divine weapon.
Interesting.
Yes, and so I'm trying. So right now, Simo's just using his own life force and slowly killing himself to be able to harm Loki. And I'm just thinking, why couldn't he just go to Jack the Ripper with a full bag of ammunition? It's like, hey, bro, can you like touch all this real quick? Just like run your hands in there. You don't have like to be very specific. Just go get deep in there and just rummage through it.
Heck, just shake his hand like, "Hey, nice to meet you, Jack the Ripper. I'm a big fan of your work," and then you just punch the guy.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. That's actually how he ends up killing Hercules, is because he turned his own blood into divine weapons and into a divine weapon and just used it to stab his hands through Hercules.
Why didn't you do that to start?
Because content.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, I could turn anything into a god-killing weapon. I'll just touch myself.
It's funny because like I think he was also testing out the limits of it as well, because like he starts off with like the sewer cap, then so the arena can be modified to certain people.
He's just learning. He's learning his ability during the fight,
more or less, because they're quite literally jumping into this immediately with little to no practice, more or less.
Okay.
And Jack the Ripper was like one of like the first 5 guys, so he had a little practice to begin with. So and on top of that, so the arena can be like, a blank empty canvas, like normal tournament arc arena looking stuff. And but if approved by the deities themselves, they can be modified to look like different terrain. Right now, the terrain looks like Simo's homeland, so he's got home advantage in the woods. And but for Jack the Ripper, he quite literally requested London Square at night. And so they're in the fight in the middle of a town. And so Hercules tries to punch Jack the Ripper, hits a building, and the building starts to collapse. And the thing is, right before he punched the building, Jack the Ripper like touched it and turned the entire building into a divine weapon, and it collapsed on top of Hercules, dealing heavy damage.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And Blue Lady says, I think Simo's way of repenting for all the people he killed, it kind of seems like doesn't care if he dies. That's actually fair, because in Simo's journal after the war, those 500 kills that haunted him for the rest of his days.
Couldn't Jack the Ripper just touch the floor and then it was like, haha, floor is lava?
I don't think it works exactly like that. I see where you're going for.
He can touch a building.
But the building was collapsing.
He could touch concrete.
I mean, it'd be like if I were to get a normal rock and hit Hercules with that rock is going to shatter in my hand. But if I used a rock that Jack the Ripper touched, it's now a divine weapon, and now it's gonna hurt Hercules that way.
Why not just touch the ground and then tip Hercules over, and it'll feel like just fell off a 10-story building and just splat on the concrete?
That could possibly work, but I think that would be the equivalent of what would happen if I fell on the ground really hard versus like a regular deity falling on the ground really hard.
I guess. What if he touches Hercules?
Rule 34 happens.
Oh God.
Joke's on you, Hercules. I touched myself.
Okay, let's put an end to this.
All right.
And then continues and train Hercules with his hands.
It's bloody 4:16 in the morning. I want to go to bed.
All right.
I'm so fucking lady.
I'm sorry.
I think that's honestly all I can say, because like that's basically because a lot of series like to have like deities that say, hey, we're gonna have this judgment. You're gonna have to prove yourselves to me not to have this judgment cast upon you, otherwise you die. And that's basically what a lot of things happen. And so you got things like RWBY with gathering the relics, or keeping them separate, I guess you can say, unless humanity was ready to be judged properly. Or with Record Ragnarok, where the deities of every pantheon was like, fuck humans. And then...
Isn't their mission right now to put their relic in the same case as the other relic?
Yeah, basically.
So they're just putting them together, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny how, like, what was it? The Beacon Academy had one, but I was like, let's not worry about that one right now. They can't get into it. I was like, what do you mean they can't get into it?
Yep. Right now, so I think that's everything we can talk about for now until next week. I don't think I'm doing anything tomorrow, am I? No. So because it was Sunday, Monday, this was Tuesday. Yeah, I guess I'm not doing anything Wednesday. Oh, I guess I could do Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2. I can get on that, maybe. Get a head start on that. But yeah, I guess that's it for us tonight, chat. So thank you everybody for hopping by. Thank you, Basil Boost, for the raid. Let me shout you out again. Or have you get the Trigon music.
Nice.
Rafita, thank you for the follow as well. Bokuwa Piku, thank you for the follow as well, even though your name is sus to me. And Furry Paw. Yes, Furry Paw Jobs, thank you for the follow as well. And yeah, like I said, that's a name.
Yeah, thanks, EJ.
Yeah, and hopefully whenever Blue Lady finishes this, I won't be using the same background anymore, and we'll actually have a proper podcast looking room.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm sending it in our group chat real quick to give you an idea what it's gonna be looking like.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
you
looks
showed us
neat.
the-
Yeah, thank you. And also thank Blue Lady as well, since she's the one that's designing this.
Sick.
Yes. Tomorrow, I'm working until midnight, so I might not stream tomorrow, but if I do, I'll probably be playing Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2. Then after that is pretty much more work days for me until Sunday. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for tonight. Thank you all for hopping by. Thank you again, Basil. Thank you again, Rafita. Thank you again, Boku wa Pico. I swear to God, I swear that's a Boku no Pico reference. We should go rating then now. So who is on tonight that we can raid into? First, so I don't forget it. And not gonna lie, I'm kind of proud that we didn't get any bots tonight. I'm actually proud for that.
Let's
That's
go.
awesome.
Frick the bots. No one likes you.
No one that I know are following are. Yeah, no one that I normally follow is on right now. No one from Sillytopia is on either. Would love.
Raid be Jambi.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Wow.
The stinky bunny. Oh shit, we can. Let's raid into Leon Arcane. They look like they're playing Oblivion for the first time.
Oh, gee, a remake.
The remastered.
Sick.
Tom Cruise movie?
Is there a Tom Cruise movie called Oblivion?
Yeah,
There
there's
is.
a Tom Cruise movie
Really? I did not know
called
that.
Oblivion. I don't think it was any good. I don't
Tom Cruise movie, so
remember
it's
watching it. It was
like a 50-50.
Yeah, the 2013 movie.
yeah.
I do not remember this movie.
It has a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It had Morgan Freeman in it, right? As like secret human resistance, right?
It had Morgan Freeman. It had Zoe Bell. It had Andrea. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. Holy crap, that name.
All right. Well, without further ado, thank you, Phoenix, and thank you, Dakota, for hopping by with me today, and
No
thank you for
problem.
all the yapping. I really like how everything flowed so smoothly this week. Hopefully, we can keep that same energy for next week.
Mhm.
Yep, here's open.
Here's open. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for hopping by. If I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Let's go. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Adios, folks.
3, 2, 1, and raid.